Welcome to the Big Bear Chamber of Commerce Local Candidates Forum. Tonight we are live in person and on Zoom, so I want to extend a warm welcome to all of our Zoom listeners as well. I am Marlene Kane. I am the current board member and past chairman of the Big Bear Chamber of Commerce. Sitting down front here is the office manager, Patricia Gallagher, who's also going to act as our timer this evening. And our executive director, Ellen Clark, is also in attendance, helping to run the event tonight. At this time, please welcome the chairman of the board of the Chamber of Commerce, Evan Engel, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Evan. So tonight, the candidate forum will be operated according to some guidelines for our panelists and for our audiences, so please do listen closely. The Big Bear Chamber of Commerce is the nonpartisan organization, and we present this forum tonight as a service. The forum uses a question and answer format, therefore there will be no rebuttals or questions. There are candidates who are not able to join us tonight. They were invited to submit a statement, a written statement, if they so desired. If they did submit a statement, those statements will be read at the appropriate time. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, 1 minute to answer each question, and 2 minutes for a closing statement. To make sure that this is a fair forum, to keep us on time, we have a timer, Patricia, and candidates, you will see the timing cards. We'll do a little demonstration when you come up here, so you'll be familiar with it. If a candidate does speak after the time allotted, you might hear this. Patricia, you want to? Little bell. We hope we don't hear that tonight. There will be a 5-minute break between panels, so we can get this all set up. And for the benefit of our listeners and for the audience members, here is the order of panels tonight. We will start with the Municipal Water District Board, followed by the Big Bear Airport Board, then the Bear Valley Community Healthcare District, Bear Valley Unified School District, Community Services District, and then our closing panel will be the City of Big Bear Lake City Council. We do ask that audience members please be respectful of the candidates and each other. Personal questions or attacks on any candidate or the moderator or the timer is not acceptable. Any verbal interaction between the audience and the candidates is also discouraged because this is a neutral forum and we want to make sure that the candidates can be heard when they're sharing their philosophy, ideas, and information. This is not a campaign event, therefore we do not allow any campaign signs or literature. Please do not shout or whistle or applaud. You may be tempted to applaud, but please hold any applause until the end of our panel tonight. We want to make sure that they can be heard clearly when they're answering questions. Also, if you have an electronic device, please turn it off or set it on silent as a courtesy to your fellow audience members and to our speakers. We do have prepared questions tonight, and time permitting, we will also entertain selected questions from the audience. Unfortunately, our Zoom listeners will not be able to ask questions. If a question is directed to a specific candidate, the other candidates may also respond to the question if they wish, using the same timing guidelines. That is the end of our guidelines for the forum. If you wish to write out a question, you may raise your hand at this time, and we have staff members who will come over and give you a blank card. There's also cards out in the lobby. And you write your question out and they raise your hand, will come and collect it at the appropriate time. So let's get started. We're going to begin the evening with the City of the Big Bear Municipal Water District Board panel. Will those candidates please come forth at this time? Your name cards are already in place. While they're coming up, we'll let you know that there are 2 seats available in this race. One seat is for a 4-year term. One seat is for a term with 2 years remaining in it. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's not true.
Yeah,
That's the,
Yeah.
there's only one area replacing John Evanger. That's Division 4. And that's something they have to apply directly to MWD. We
Is
don't
that-
vote on it here.
Oh, my apologies, maybe we should clarify that. So
This is Division 3 only.
Division 3 only, so there's one seat?
One seat.
One seat available.
There's another one that we are replacing, but we're doing that internally at MWD, but you have to live in Division 4 to apply.
Okay, thank you. So one seat. Thank you very much for that clarification. So I will introduce the candidates at this time alphabetically by last name, starting with Mr. Brian Boyd. Mr. Boyd is a small business owner and a 21-year resident of the Valley. Next to him, Mr. Craig Brewster. Mr. Brewster and his family have been residents of Big Bear Lake for over 30 years and have owned and operated the Robin Hood Resort most of that time. Previously, they owned Nottingham's Tavern for nearly 20 years. Candidate Mr. Gregory Kemmerman did not respond to our invitation, and candidate Mr. Michael Logrande declined our invitation. So let's get started with opening statements, and let's show them how the timing will work. Gentlemen, so when you have 30 seconds remaining, you will see the green card. Patricia will hold it up for you. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And when you have 10 seconds remaining, you'll see the yellow card. Thank you. And when your time is up, you'll see the red card. And that's your cue to stop. Yes, thank you. Okay, well, let's begin with a 2-minute opening statement, starting with Mr. Boyd.
Hi, my name is Brian Boyd. I'm running for the Big Bear Municipal Water District Board of Directors, District 3. I've been a Valley resident for over 21 years now, actually 20, almost 21 here. I first visited the area somewhere in the 1990s. I was doing a hang gliding simulator, the one over by Division there. I was looking out over the area and I was like, wow, this place is pretty cool. I was looking at the neighborhood and I was like, wow, I could see myself living there one day. I had no idea that I would be moving down here from Oregon 10 years later and found a house right in that same neighborhood. So it was a bit of fate, I think. I've met and married my wife here in the Valley. We started 2 small businesses. One, 9 years ago, we started Big Bear Water Sports School. And 3 years ago, Juniper Hair Lounge was established. And they're both doing very well. I started working at Soul Summit my first year up here as a snowboard instructor, and worked myself up to now the children's manager, where at times I have a manager staff of over 75 employees. I grew up in Springfield, Oregon, where at times there's more than enough water. Living down here, and I love not having all that rainfall at times, but we could sure use some at times. We could sure use some at time now. Our Valley residents and small businesses all depend on our water. Without our lake, our economy could potentially collapse. I know I can't just go fill up the lake magically, but how we move forward and manage the lake, how we do, is my biggest priority. Without the lake, we have no Big Bear.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boyd. Mr. Brewster, your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Craig Brewster. I'm running for MWD Board of Directors, District 3. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for being here this evening, and also thanking everyone that has shown support for me and my campaign. I do truly appreciate it. As Marilyn said, my family and I have lived in the Valley for almost 30 years. We have owned and operated Robin Hood Resort for 30 years and Nottingham's for almost 20 years. My father is the current board of director in District 3 right now, and has been for the last 8 years, which is great for you guys and for me. I have access to years of experience and a wealth of knowledge. My sister is currently on the board of the VB. I personally feel community involvement is very important. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to represent and serve the residents of the valley. For me, lake access is very important to this community. I would like to see more dredging projects started. I feel that both the west and the east ramps should be open every season, regardless of lake level. This would have easier lake access for all of our residents. Shoreline maintenance is also very important. It's very unfortunate right now the lake level is so low, but let's take advantage of the situation. I would love to see some clearing grub. Let's get the shoreline ready for when the lake does rise. There'll be a lot less debris and weeds to deal with in the future. I would love to have the chance to support and represent the residents of the Valley. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brewster. So that concludes the opening statements. Now we'll begin with some prepared questions. Mr. Boyd, we'll start with you. Each of you has 1 minute to answer the question, and you'll see the timing cards to help you with that. Here's our first question. Mr. Boyd, if elected, what would be your solution to the challenge of increasingly lower lake levels?
Increasing the lower lake level.
Increasingly lower lake levels.
Replenish Big Bear, I mean, we have to move forward with that, whatever cost is associated with it, we have to start with that. We're gonna rely on Mother Nature to do a lot of the work, but we have to move forward again with Replenish Big Bear. That's going to be huge. If our people before us would have done that, maybe our lake would be in a better spot.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Brewster, same question. If elected, what would be your solution to the challenge of increasingly lower lake levels?
That is a very difficult situation, and Replenish Big Bear is great. I would support any program that would potentially raise the lake level. I would be concerned about the economic and financial impact on the taxpayers, residents, and also the business owners, but I'm 100% for Replenish Big Bear. I think shoreline improvement and maintenance would be a good way to make the lake look more appealing as you drive by. There's a lot of debris on the lake, you know, broken docks, floats, trees, all that type of stuff. So I think if the shoreline looks nicer, people will have a better perspective of the lake.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on to our second question, Mr. Boyd, we have just experienced the latest algae bloom in the lake. And cautionary advice was issued to not expose people or their pets to the water. What should the Municipal Water Board do to control dangerous algae blooms in the future?
Well, at times they can't do anything about it. When the algae bloom gets too large and widespread, there's nothing to do. I know that they can only treat the algae bloom to a certain extent, but again, when it goes too far, there's nothing really to do. And it did definitely impact my business when that algae bloom went out. I mean, we had to pretty much shut down operations for a number of weeks. So, you know, you can't really do too much when there's a widespread algae bloom.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Brewster.
Algae bloom is very unfortunate. It happens to the lake. It is a natural occurrence. You know, part of the issue I think with algae bloom is the state does come out and test once a month. So if they catch us on a bad day where the algae bloom is really bad, of course, the levels are going to be very high. That could change in the next 3 or 4 days. So I think making all of the residents and everyone that visits the valley aware of the daily status of the algae bloom would be very effective.
Okay, thank you so much. We do have a question from our audience. Why don't we start with Mr. Brewster this time? Can you change your schedule to attend all city and fire authority meetings?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
It says, can you change your schedule? Is this for this panel? I suppose it is. Can you change your schedule to attend all city and fire authority meetings?
My schedule is very open. I am a business owner, so I potentially make my own hours. So yeah, I can definitely change my schedule to attend any meeting I need to.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd.
The same thing here. I mean, in the winter, I'm the children's manager at Summit, but I manage the staff, so I would just get somebody to do whatever I needed to do. And in the summertime, I've got captains that can do what I do out there. So, not a big thing.
Okay, all right, thank you. Are there any other questions, Ellen, from the audience? No. Okay, all right. Okay, then let's go ahead for our closing statement. Mr. Boyd, your 2-minute closing statement, please.
As a resident and business owner for Big Bear for over 21 years, I've developed the strongest understanding of how crucial our lake is for Valley. As we now are going into uncharted territory as far as our lake level goes, I believe I can help navigate and manage our valley's most valued resource, and that is Big Bear Lake. Without Big Bear Lake, we don't have a Big Bear Lake. We don't have, nobody's gonna be coming up here. We need the lake.
Okay, thank you so much. And your closing statement, Mr. Brewster.
And once again, I just want to thank everyone for being here and thank the chamber for putting on this forum so we can all say a few words. I do appreciate that. And, you know, I feel as a 30-year lakefront resident and business owner, I've seen the lake level. I've seen it full, I've seen it low, and I understand the impact that the changing lake levels, seasons has on the economy in Big Bear. So I think I could really help out a lot with the lake. And once again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. That concludes our questions for the Municipal Water District Board candidates. The chamber, and I thank you so much for attending this evening. You are excused. At this time, would the candidates for the Big Bear Airport District please come forward and take your seats, and we'll be putting out your name cards. We will take a 5-minute break. Madam Timer, if you can tell me 5 minutes. Before we start, I just would like to mention that this forum is being recorded, audio and visual, and will be available on the chamber website this Monday. Okay, so welcome back. I think it's been about 5 minutes or so, Madam Timer, not quite. I think we're ready to go though. So our next panel is the Big Bear Airport District Board. There are 2 seats available. Each seat is a 4-year term. And audience, again, if you have any questions for the airport board, just raise your hand, a card will be brought to you, or write it out on a card if you already have it. Raise your hand and staff will come by and pick it up. So at this time, I'd like to introduce, to my left is Charles Hicks, Jr. Mr. Hicks is an aviation regulatory and safety specialist, having worked for 30 years with the Federal Aviation Administration. To his left is incumbent Mary Kay Lindstrom. Ms. Lindstrom has served as chief pilot and a commercial pilot ferrying passengers and cargo in and out of Big Bear Airport. She's currently an instrument-rated commercial pilot with a ground instructor rating. Candidate Councilman Alan Lee declined our invitation to participate. So thank you, panelists, for coming this evening.
Thank you.
And just to quickly review, again, when you have 30 seconds remaining, you will see the green card, 10 seconds remaining, the yellow card, and the red card when your time is up. All right, well, let's begin with 2-minute opening statements. Mr. Hicks.
Thank you very much. Good evening, and many thanks to the chamber and for organizing this candidates event. And thank you to all of my fellow candidates that have stepped forward to serve our community. I am Charles Hicks, Big Bear Airport Board candidate. I'm a homeowner and a resident of Big Bear Lake. I want to serve the Valley on the airport board because I have an enduring interest in our airport. That's the best mountain airport in all of California. Our airport serves our communities in several ways. First, it is a critical part of our emergency preparedness and response operations. Second, according to a 2014 study, it contributes $8.3 million to the Big Bear Valley economy. And third, it is engaged with our high school in an aviation education program that provides students with aviation career opportunities. My qualifications to competently serve on the board are my 30 years with the Federal Aviation Administration, my experience as an attorney specializing in aviation law, and my military service in the United States Air Force and as a California Army National Guard helicopter pilot. Again, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Ms. Lindstrom, your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're all here. I wish there were a few more. We've all seen many, many changes in this valley. I'll tell you a little bit about myself as I have come along. About 30 years ago, for the first time, I landed at Big Bear Airport, which takes a little bit of special training. And it's a little bit problematic because it is a high altitude airport. I was so excited and pleased that I made it. And instead of taxiing to Berkeley, I just sat there and began to cry right there on the. Then I heard on the radio, you better move. That's not a really good place to be. And so I taxied off. That's the beginning of my love affair with this airport. You heard about my ratings. I'm a commercial instrument ground instructor. I was chief pilot at the airport, ferrying passengers and cargo up and down this mountain, and sometimes in the snow, which was not really cool. I served as the administrative assistant in the office. I partnered with the state of California to produce the first airport economic impact study. Our current board of directors, airport manager, and staff is the best working body of individuals that Big Bear has seen in many years. Currently, I'm honored and proud to hold the position of director. I bring to this governing body a wealth of information gathered from many years of various aeronautical and experience and involvement. I've been the first woman to be invited to the Man's Big Bear Rotary Club. And boy, did they make it tough on me. I was a volunteer ski patrol and adaptive ski school at Big Bear.
Thank you, Ms. Lindstrom. Okay, let's turn to our first question. Mr. Hicks, the building of a new and expanded airport is moving forward with completion estimated by 2025. How will the new airport and its features impact economic development in the valley?
Well, first, let me make a little correction to that. It's not a new expanded airport, it's a new expanded terminal at the airport. It will make a major difference in that we will now have a facility that people will be able to use in the community. We are looking at a community center, I think it's about 1,800 square feet, that will be available for use by the community. We are also looking at businesses being able to operate out of the terminal, again, similar to what they're doing today. So that support will continue.
Thank you. Ms. Lindstrom, same question.
I'm so looking forward to breaking ground in this spring for our new modern terminal. I've waited many years for this, and I can't wait to see it to its fruition. Our old terminal building has been tumbling down for as long as I can remember, and that's a long time. We have advanced to a first-class small airport, being able to accommodate a large number of aircraft, 15,000 operations a year all kinds of emergencies with a training grounds for the military, a source of additional revenue, a brand new aeronautical program for the high school, including simulators. I continue to belong on Big Bear Airport. I'm qualified. I'm looking forward to again working with our exceptional board of directors and staff. Not to mention Ryan Goss, our airport manager, who has done an excellent job with our airport.
Thank you, Ms. Lindstrom. Mr. Hicks, pre-COVID, the airport was considering a shuttle service to Long Beach for residents. Due to the pandemic, those plans had to be put on hold. What are your thoughts on bringing air commuter services to Big Bear?
I would say that that would be an excellent idea. We would have to, or the industry or business coming in would have to take a look at the economic impact as to whether or not it would be profitable for them to operate a shuttle service from Big Bear Airport to Long Beach. Having worked with the FAA for 30 years and having worked with small commuters and small operators such as this, I understand that it is a very difficult operation to get started and a very difficult operation to maintain profitability on. So a lot would just depend on the demographics and whether or not there's enough people here in the valley or to come up to go down to Long Beach or to come from Long Beach up to Big Bear.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Lindstrom?
Well, it's as he said, it's probably the biggest problem would be economics, not to mention all the rules and regulations with regard to having an office, or what do you want to call it, a terminal here, getting the pilots certified here, and then having enough people that would use the service. And it would be advantageous, of course, if we could do that. It would depend also on the aircraft that could make it and be safe coming in and out of this mountain.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions from the audience, Ellen? A hand. Anyone else?
None up here.
Oh, we're good. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, we are ready for a 2-minute closing statements. Let's start with Mr. Hicks.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the chamber, support staff, and fellow candidates, and you, the audience, for allowing me to introduce myself to you and to tell you why I'm seeking a position on the Big Bear Airport Board of Directors. I know that my professional experience in many aspects of aviation and my work in government operations qualifies me to competently serve you. Moreover, I have a deep kinship with Big Bear. I'm a homeowner and a resident, and I cherish the airport as an extraordinary asset that serves our safety and our security. I envision an expansion of our high school aviation program to give our students hands-on opportunities to pursue careers in the industry. I'm also eager to assist in making our aviation emergency response activities as robust as possible. I'm humbly asking for your consideration of my candidacy in the upcoming election, and I will be grateful for your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Ms. Lindstrom, your 2-minute closing statement, please.
I am proud to be a part of the airport now. We have 2 seats to be available. Chuck and I do a real good job partnering ideas and thoughts, and I think we would make a great team in addition to the airport board. The airport board is phenomenal. It works well together, and we have a great staff, and I'm just proud to be there. Thank you for coming out. Vote for me.
Thank you so much. You're excused. Thank you for participating. Okay, at this time, would the candidate for the Bear Valley Community Healthcare District please take your seat? And if necessary, we'll have a 5-minute recess at a timer. If you would like to ask a question, this next panel, please raise your hand and the staff member will come over and give you a blank card to fill out. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. It's my pleasure to introduce our panelists. Mr. Jack Reiner, Chief Executive Officer of California International Bank, and is the former President and Chief Executive Officer of First Mountain Bank, currently serving on the hospital board. Dr. Peter Boss, a candidate, declined our invitation as he is on vacation this week, and candidate Nancy Sargent also declined our invitation. And Mr. Reiner, you know the routine by now, probably, that you'll have 30 seconds left when you see the green card, and 10 seconds the yellow, and so forth. There you go. I think
10 seconds,
that's good. Okay. Okay, so Mr. Reiner, can we open with your 2-minute opening statement, please?
I haven't fed my dog yet, so we've got to rush through this. I have lived in Big Bear for 7 years. Points out I was president of First Mountain Bank for 5 years before we sold it, and now I'm Chief Executive Officer of California International Bank in Westminster, which is a place to be from. I've got a lot of experience, hospital board experience. Was on the Sutter Health board for over 20 years in Sacramento, and I was chairman of the Sacramento Sierra region for Sutter Health. That had 5 hospitals in it. So I'm looking forward to serving Big Bear and the hospital here. Be great.
Okay, thank you. Our first question for you, Mr. Reiner, is the hospital has seen its share of ups and downs financially in previous years. What recommendations would you make to help reach and maintain financial sustainability for the hospital?
Actually, the hospital's finances are in good shape. Staff is doing a great job. Evan is a fantastic CEO. He's got the staff working hard. We've got some challenges since the pandemic. We need to continue to execute the strategic plan, which includes recruiting physicians, and we need to address and continue to address the critical clinical staffing shortages that we seem to have. We're not the only hospital that's got this challenge. A lot of the hospitals are facing the same sort of challenge. So anyway, we're financially we're doing good.
Okay, thank you. Good to know. Our second question is, presently many residents must drive off the mountain to have routine tests and procedures done, causing a lot of inconvenience and extra expense to them. What is being planned to bring needed medical services not currently available to our hospital? And please tell us your thoughts on this challenge.
I spent 27 years in the military. I'm also on COP, the Citizens on Patrol. My patrol partner is a veteran who was seriously wounded in Vietnam. And when he told me one day on patrol that he hadn't he had to drive the next day off the hill to get a blood draw. I went crazy. I said, why would you have to go off the hill to get a blood draw? So currently, my big, 30 seconds, my big challenge is helping to get that changed. So the VA will recognize that just because they have a rule about 50 miles in the snow is quite a challenge, but to leave the hill to get a blood draw is absolutely crazy.
Okay, thank you so much. Ellen, do we have any questions from the audience for Mr. Bryan? No? Okay, all right, may we have your closing statement then?
I need to go home and feed my dog.
You got 2 minutes and then you can go.
Well, again, the hospital is doing very well, except that we do have the challenges that most hospitals have with regard to attracting critically important nursing staff as well as physicians. That will be an ongoing challenge. We seem to be doing okay in that regard, but we need to continue doing it. That's my 2 minutes.
Okay.
And Chico, tell Chico I'm on my way to feed him.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan, very much. And I just want to make sure I mention this, that there are 2 seats open. Each one's a 4-year term. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Bryan. Best of luck to you. At this time, we will take a 15-minute intermission, give you time to write some questions. Bathrooms down the hall, and we'll see you in 15 minutes, Madam Time. Because we are running ahead of schedule, our next panel was going to be the school board. We're going to skip ahead just for the moment and go on to the CSD, the Community Services District, and then we'll come back to the school board. So at this time, please welcome to our panel, the Community Services District Board panelists. There are 3 seats on this race. Each one is a 4-year term. Good evening, sir. This is Mr. Al Ziegler. Mr. Ziegler is a semi-retired business owner who was elected in 2014 and re-elected in 2018 to the Community Services Board. Welcome, Mr. Ziegler. Candidates John Green, Lyle DeVore Sr., and Bob Rowe declined our invitation. Mr. Ziegler, you have the same timing. When you see the green card, that means you have 30 seconds left over there.
Yeah, this is not my first rodeo.
Not your first rodeo. Okay, he hasn't. Got it. Well, then, would you please proceed and give us your 2-minute opening statement?
I'm a little bit of a disadvantage tonight. I've got $3,000 worth of hearing aids and the wire's broken this one, so on my way home, we're gonna go to the hospital and get it pumped out. So, thank you very much for the chamber, for all their work to put this particular thing on. It's wonderful. Without it, I don't know how we would survive. So thank you very much, Chamber of Commerce. My name is Al Ziegler. I came here in 1974. And it wasn't before time. And we had raised, the wife and I, 3 beautiful girls. They're all here. In fact, 2 of us here tonight. And so we know a little bit about the history of the mountain. And I happen to have the opportunity to serve on the CSD board now for 8 years. And I do have a lot of knowledge and history of the valley, which I think is a good sales point. We have a fantastic agency, we have fantastic people, we have a fantastic general manager. The general managers of all these agencies, that's the key to good success. With it, you'll have good success. And that's been a proven factor within this valley, is having the right people. So I'm going to be short, and I'm going to more or less back off here a little bit. Again, I thank you very much for coming tonight, and I could use your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So our first question for you, Mr. Ziegler, is about visitor trash. Visitor trash is a complex issue for the entire community. The city of Big Bear Lake has a plan to address visitor trash. What could the Community Services District do to address this troublesome issue in the unincorporated county areas of the valley?
I apologize, but I'm gonna have to come over here and you're gonna have to.
Okay. So we're talking about visitor trash,
Solid waste.
solid waste, visitor trash is what we're talking about. Okay. So what could the CSD do to address this issue in the unincorporated area of the valley?
Well, we try our hard to keep everybody happy, but unfortunately, we don't run the bus. We don't run the bus. Sacramento runs the bus. They set the rules, they set all the requirements, and they do a great job of spending the taxpayers' money on things that I see constantly as I am chairman of the solid waste thing. And like here in the near future, you're gonna get another cart. Isn't that great? This one's gonna be green. And it's for yard waste only. And I fought it the best I could fight it, and so have all my compadres. But the thing is, I don't know, whatever ideas we come up with, we get overridden with Sacramento. Sacramento runs the bus, and if you don't do it that way, you got a $20,000 fine or whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In specifically with visitor trash, though, what do you think can be done with the visitors who leave their trash behind?
I was afraid you were gonna ask that. It's a real pain, because the thing is, we have our good neighbors on this side of town, which is Big Bear Lake. On the other side of town, we're within the county range, and we represent the people there. And so, fortunately, Big Bear Lake does a great job because they have Big Bear Disposal, and they have their thing on Garston where you can take your material and they take it. Now, Garston is not allowed to take the stuff out of the east end. And so the thing is, in the old days, and I know I'm talking history and there's a few people who don't like that, but in the old days, the people who was in the cabin business took it to the dump. But today, you know, they have no choice but to take it to Garston, and that's against the law, so they're not supposed to do that. But I don't know exactly what to do. I'm a strong believer that the county needs to get involved here, because the area that we're in, we need a disposal site. In other words, we need the same thing that you got in Garston. Okay, stop now.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ziegler, for answering my question. The second question is, there has been talk for years about annexing the unincorporated areas, right? Annexing the area of the valley to Big Bear Lake. So in your opinion, what would be the advantage of that, and what would be the disadvantage, if any?
That's been on the agenda ever since 1974 when I came here. And that's very, very difficult, because the city is a whole different bird than the ones of us out there in the county. And unfortunately, the city would like to do more things for us, to be more over on the friendly side, but then at the same time, they're at a disadvantage, because we got a lot of old timers out there that's been out there 30 and 40 years, and they do not want to be annexed to the city. And it's not the city's fault, it's just the fact that's their feeling, and because of some of the different regulations down here that they've just been farmers out there all these years, and they don't want to adjust to something like that.
Thank you so much for answering that question. One more for you. If Measure O passes in the city of Big Bear Lake, some have said that short-term rentals would then open up in the unincorporated area, maybe overwhelming neighborhoods and CSD services. What are your thoughts on that scenario?
Well, I'm about $80,000 a month short right now, because it just so happened, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, that we've been in this cabin business for 30 years. And we open and close cabins. And then with everything that's transpired downtown here, It's nobody's fault, but when it comes to Airbnbs, they made this valley. I'm sorry. They made this valley. People come in here for years and do ourselves, we've been here this whole time. And at the same time, we made our living off of it. And at the same time, Big Bear Lake prospered from it because you have retail stores and everything. So I'm a strong believer that we don't need to throw them out the window, not yet.
Thank you so much. We have one question from the audience. Are there any other questions for Mr. Ziegler? If so, please raise your hand and we will come and get it. Okay. Okay, good. While she's getting that, Mr. Ziegler, how often have you attended a CSD meeting in the last 3 months?
Everyone. I was going to say too damn long, but. No,
Well, I'll take everyone. Okay, and this is from our audience. Why did you decide to run again?
Well, because I'm young and I'm healthy and I can make it happen. And unfortunately, I roofed about every roof in town in the last 50 years. And so we had to have a knee replacement, and Redlands was nice enough to send me home with COVID. But the thing is, you know, I've got my health, and what I got up here, it takes a long time to get it, you know what I mean? And so I think that I'm doing my job representing the citizen. I think I do a good job of representing the citizen, and I have quite a following, and I intend to continue on my present course.
Thank you so much. You are now able to give your 2-minute closing statement if you desire.
Well, I'm sorry that I flooded the East Valley with all them yellow signs, but maybe they'll pull it off, you know. I don't really have too much to say other than that I'm proud to live in the valley, and I'm proud to be part of it, and I think I've made a difference through the years, and I hope to be helpful in the same future years.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Ziegler, for participating tonight. Best of luck to you. We will take a 5-minute break. During that time, we'll invite the school board to come on up and get situated. All right, welcome back, everybody. We will now have a chance to hear from the incumbents and candidates for the Bear Valley Unified School District Board. 2 seats are open. Each seat is a 4-year term. As you can see, we have 4 candidates. It's my pleasure to welcome you all this evening. And we'll introduce them in alphabetical order, as we have been doing by last name. So I'll start with Ms. Lizette Grau. Ms. Grau is a volunteer and grandmother and a retired electrical engineer and project manager. Ms. Kathy Herrick is a current member and past president of the school board, current member of the Chamber Board of Directors, and she serves as vice president, director of operations for K-Bear FM, and she's been doing that since 1995. Ms. Kelly Olson is a parent, a school activist, and a local business owner for 15 years. Mr. Paul Zamoita is a former teacher in Big Bear, now a realtor, and the current school board president. Welcome, panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we start with opening statements, I just wanted to review the timing for your remarks. Our timer is sitting right there, down there, and she's showing you that. So when you have 2 minutes for opening statements and 1 minute for your answers to the questions. And our timer will show you when you have 30 seconds remaining. You'll see that green card. And when you have 10 seconds remaining, you'll see the yellow. And if you do see the red, that's a stop. Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, let's get started with opening statements. Why don't we start with Ms. Grau?
Hi, my name is Lizette Grau, and I'm running for school board. My motivation to run stems from my granddaughter who currently attends North Shore Elementary School. As her primary caregiver, I have been very involved with the school for the past 5 years. Personally, professionally, I am a retired electrical engineer and senior project manager with over 20 years of experience working on the design and constructions of multi-million-dollar projects. I am running for the school board because I believe I can bring a much-needed balance. I believe that our children needs are best served when family and the board work together. The school board should consist of members who have a stake in our children's education, because parents, grandparents, and foster parents are the best advocates for our children. However, presently that is very reflected in the board. We need to balance the board with current parents and non-parents to ensure objectivity. Studies have shown that the most capable and effective board is one with this diversity, because it provides multiple perspectives on issues. My second reason for running is the lack of communication and transparency between the board and the parents. Many decisions have been made by the board that affects families without getting their input. Just recently, the board have asked for input on next year's school calendar, but I believe it is only because of the elections that they made this request. This year, the board did not ask for any input from the families on changing the school start time. Last year, they also changed the calendar without the parents' input. Our input on this issue matters. At the open district meetings, I have witnessed parents bringing concerns on the board only to be met by poker faces and non-response. At times, the current board members have smirked while the parents speak and ultimately refuse to engage with their questions or concern. This behavior is not one that supports the best interest of our children. Finally, as a grandparent of a current student, I am and will be invested in the issues that have gone ignored at the school level by the board's decision.
Thank you, Ms. Grau. Ms. Olson, your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Well, I'm running for school board. I'm grateful to be in this town. I was actually born in the hospital up here, so I have roots here. I've lived here on and off for 20 years. I have 2 kids who attend this school at North Shore Elementary School. I'm there as much as I can to make sure that they're getting the proper education and that I could be the mama bear for them that they need, because there's a lot going on that the current board doesn't really touch base on. And I just want to make sure that the kids' education all around is good for everybody, including special ed kids. And the past 2 years, we've had COVID restrictions, and a lot of the kids are behind, including my own and a lot of friends. There's issues with the special ed department especially, and I want to be there for all the students. I'm just so grateful that I can be able to stand up and be the mama bear for the whole valley, all the kids. I care deeply about every kid in this valley. And that shows when I go to the schools or even outside the schools, the kids recognize me as playing with them, jump roping, teaching them handball and all kinds of fun stuff. So I just want to continue that in a different level on the board, to be their advocate there also.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. Ms. Herrick, your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the chamber for tonight's forum, and also thank the public for taking the time to hear from the candidates, since it's very important in your decision-making when you go to vote on November 8th. My name is Kathy Herrick. I have been almost a 30-year resident there. My husband and I moved here as newlyweds and started our business, KBHR Radio. We raised our daughter here through the school system from kindergarten to 12th grade, and many parents in the audience and who are listening online will understand the phrase when we say diapers to diploma. So those are their kids. I was a very active volunteer in the schools when my daughter was in school, and that's when I really learned my passion for working with not only our students, but also our staff at BVUSD. I joined the school board in February of 2015, and we have experienced a lot of successes and challenges over the last 7 years that I've been on the board, but the pandemic brought us to really challenges that we could never have foreseen. Our district employees and students navigated distant learning the best that they could, but now we see our students coming back with mental health issues, and that for me is a major priority as a board member. We have hired counselors at each of our school sites too, at the high school. Really, the bottom line is to serve our students and support them with whatever it is that they need. We have momentum, but there definitely, and there is always more work to be done. I look forward to tonight's questions and also hearing the responses from my fellow candidates. So again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ms. Herrick. Mr. Samoita, I urge you to get an opening statement.
Thank you. Thank you for putting on the forum, Chamber of Commerce. My name is Paul Zamoida. I came to the Valley in 1994, so 28 years ago. I originally came up here to work at the United States Adaptive Recreation Center as a recreation therapist, teaching people with disabilities how to ski. I also was a member of the summer program, teaching people with disabilities how to enjoy water sports, camping, canoeing, kayaking, all kinds of fun stuff. After being up here 3 years doing that, I got a job as a teacher in our school district up here. I taught first grade for 1 year at North Shore Elementary School. I taught sixth grade for 5 years at North Shore Elementary School. And then I moved over to the middle school, and for my remaining 2 years, taught algebra and biology over at the middle school. I left teaching in 2005 and became a realtor, and I've been a realtor ever since. But I have education in my blood. My parents are educators, were educators. Every member of my family has been a teacher. My wife's a teacher. And it's always been something that's been really important to myself and my family. It was ingrained in us, the importance of a good education. So I want to stay involved in education. So I ran for school board in 2008. I've served for 3 terms since then. Been very grateful and humbled to have been elected 3 times. So I'm back for a 4th term. I would say that probably the greatest thanks that I can give to the school district is the fact that my son was able to go to this district and find his passion. And that was in the arts. He's a violinist, and because of Sharon Rizzo, he has found his way and knows what he wants to do with his life. And as a school board member, in addition to academics and all the things that kids do in what are considered a normal school day, I think that helping kids find their passions and find their interests are just as important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zamoita. Okay, let's turn to our first question. Ms. Rao, why don't we start with you? In every community across the nation.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear my name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Brown, correct? Okay, we'll start with you.
Yes, I do.
Okay. In every community across the nation, discussion about the quality and motivation of school teachers in grades K through 12 is a prominent issue. How does the Bear Valley School District motivate its teachers to perform at their highest level?
Well, special education needs more attention, support, and funding, especially in this district. There's a shortage of special education teachers and aides all across the district. Teachers are stretched thin in addressing children that need special education, while also teaching a regular class. Paying special education teachers more will attract them to our district and will take the burden away from regular classes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Olson, the same question.
Yeah, I do agree with Lizette. They've taken the RSP at the middle school, which is for the special education, so they're streamlining the special ed students with the regular kids, which is making it really difficult for the teachers. They're not getting the aids that they need to help them. They are also not getting the tools, and the kids are struggling altogether. And after, like I said, with the after COVID, a lot of the kids are struggling with reading on all levels. There's kids at the middle school who have a 2nd grade reading level, and it's a lot more than you would think. So helping those students, they got rid of the IEPs for the individual educational plans. So there's no plan. They're just pushing the kids through, and it's really sad.
Thank you so much. Ms. Herrick.
Would you repeat the question?
Of course. In every community across the nation, discussions about the quality and motivation of school teachers in grades K through 12 is a prominent issue. how does the Bear Valley School District motivate its teachers to perform at their highest level?
Thank you. I think one of the important issues for teachers is that they really need to feel, just like students, connected to the schools and the school sites that they work at. So we provide professional development for our teachers so that they can collaborate together and to really come up with lesson plans and strategies. We have added some pathways for them, which one of them is social emotional learning. And this has been a curriculum that has been adopted in our district so that it can be something that is taught throughout all of our school sites. So there's a consistency there as well. But really, I think it's a matter of supporting our teachers as best that we can. We all know that there's a teacher shortage. We all know that there is a housing crisis. And we do the best that we can to try to support them because they are the first line of contact for your children and our students.
Thank you. Mr. Zamoyta.
First off, I want to say that I have been in education. As you know, I started teaching in '96 in the school district. We have excellent teachers here in Big Bear, absolutely phenomenal teachers here in Big Bear. The question talked about the national problem. I would put our teachers up with just about anybody. Whenever I have someone come to the district, a new superintendent or any of our principals leave to go to work somewhere else, I always ask them, how do our teachers compare to everywhere else? And every single one said that we have superior teachers up here in Big Bear. One of my good friends was a principal. He went down to one of the highest performing districts in California, and he said that he would take our teachers up here over their teachers down there any day. How do you motivate a teacher? You give them autonomy and flexibility. You let them have control of the classroom. You're still observing them, you're still keeping an eye on them, but you give them more flexibility and autonomy. They have more buy-in to their own classroom, and that way they stay motivated and become better teachers.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zamoyta, let's stay with you for our next question, if that's all right. Many families count the school district as an important consideration in their decision to move to an area. What steps could the board take to help make Bear Valley Unified School District a destination district?
Well, one of the things, it's interesting that I had a former student contact me. It was an unfortunate incident where she was trying to get custody of her child. And her former husband was living in a district that was one of the highest performing districts in California. She asked him to write a letter to state the case of why Big Bear schools were better. I talked about the connection that we have in this small town and how important that is and how that allows us to get into individualized education. It also helps us be able to have kids succeed in a variety of different areas. We're very diversified as far as our course offerings and the interest between sports and clubs at the high schools. I think those are the things that are really making school. It's not just the grades. It's not just the number that you see on grade schools. There's a lot more that goes into schools. And if we can get people to realize that, some of the unique things that we have, some of the engineering classes, our new aviation class, the fact that we have kids going to ski as part of their school day, that those uniquenesses to what we have to offer up here in Big Bear is what is going to attract people to come up here to have their kids attend school.
Thank you so much. Ms. Herrick.
Well, I would have to say the size of our school district really should be attractive for families that are looking for a close-knit community. We have just over 2,100 students and are enrolled in our district. And look at the beautiful community that surrounds us. It gives opportunities for families to have a more active outdoor lifestyle, go skiing, hiking, biking, water sports. There's a lot of just really clean air. It's one of the reasons that so many people move here to the Valley. But also, we provide flexibility. We've got virtual academy. We have independent study programs, work experience programs, dual enrollment program that just started at the high school. So we have students who can take computer science class and also have that be for high school and for college credit. I think those kind of programs are attractive for families, but again, also just the beautiful community in which we live.
Thank you so much. Ms. Olson, same question.
So my kids are in 3rd and 4th grade. So last year, my son was able to participate. The 3rd graders get to do the Dick Coon ski camp for a week. And that is a really neat thing to get for people who like to ski. I know a lot of people come up here to do the ski schools they have up here. And that is a really neat thing for the kids to ski as a third grader. They also still have like the strings programs, and they have I know Mr. Kalmasi used to do the plays, and I think they still do those, and that's really neat to have those programs at school still. It's nice to be able to be a volunteer at the schools, so to have parents there, that's also nice, because I know a lot of people like to be involved in their kids' education. So we are definitely grateful that our schools allow that. And
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Brown?
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Many families count the school district as an important consideration in their decision to move to an area. What steps could the board take to help make Bear Valley Unified School District a destination district?
The district has issues with security personnel in middle school and high school. There's not enough security to avoid shooters from entering our middle school in North Shores Elementary School, which, by the way, this election this year, the district now is going to secure the entrance of the schools, and it will be done by the end of the year. I think there's issues that there's things that needs to be changed in order to attract more parents to work here. Also, the fact that 44% of the students in the district are the only ones that meet the grade requirements for English language and arts, and 34% meets the math requirements. With those low scores, it's not very attractive.
Okay, thank you so much. We do have some questions from the audience. And if the question is directed to a particular candidate, you all will have a chance to respond if you wish. Our first audience question is, and this is directed to Ms. Olson, but Ms. Olson, you answer first, and then anyone else you answer. Ms. Olson, do you support keeping our schools within the California public school system, or do you have a different concept in mind? If different, please explain.
how do they mean specifically, like being part of the state?
Within the California public school system, it's their question.
So, the California school system, to me, is lacking morals. I am a woman of morals and values, and I feel that, especially with, let's see, we have the Sexual Health Education for America's Youth. That book is disgusting, and our 7th graders get to take those classes and be a part of that, and it's sad. If I have to go up to the state level to change things, I will, because our kids deserve better.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to respond to that question?
I'll respond.
Okay.
Our school district budget is about $35 million. So if we were to secede from the state, we'd have to find $35 million somewhere in order to educate our students. I am very opinionated on curriculum, being a former teacher, and I would love for that to happen and us be able to create our own curriculum, which might be a little more student friendly, but it's just not a reality. We are a state public school, and we get $35 million a year from the government to be able to do that. So as far as the sex ed curriculum, I've looked through it too. We send out permission slips to each parent, and each parent has to sign that permission slip. They're also in that permission slip. They are encouraged to come look at the curriculum itself. And then if you look on, I believe it's page 3, there's a parent checklist where the student has to take that checklist home And each unit has a checkbox and discuss it with their parent, and their parent actually initial it, so they know what the discussion was about in class that day. So if you want to see the curriculum, have a copy here, or you go to the district office to see a copy yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. Would anyone else like to? Ms. Herrick?
I just wanted to add, I tell people often when I hear such complaints about the sex ed program, masking, whatever the case may be, that our district is a public school system in the state of California, and that is a mouthful. I don't necessarily agree with every single mandate and order that comes down from the state, but again, we are a public school system. I think that our staff and administration work really hard at bringing in the best curriculum that they can, and they have updated many of the curriculum, math, English, social studies, science over the last handful of years. So again, as Mr. Zamoyda mentioned, parents can opt out of the sex ed curriculum, talk to their child, and I support a parent's decision to do that. Parents have the right to make those decisions for their kids, and I have always supported parents' choice for the best solutions for their children.
Thank you so much. Okay, next audience question. This is just to the board in general. Oh, would you like to? Go ahead.
Yeah. Of course, you know, being a public school, you're limited by the state and their mandates and requirements, but there is a huge amount of things that can be done at the district level, which I have spoken to teachers, staff, and parents that have brought it up. Nothing really outrageous, but things that are simple and that it would really work. And when it comes to that, I wasn't going to talk about it, but it's sexual health education. The parents receive like a little note saying, oh, you want your children to learn the reproductive system. And they all say yes. They just don't tell you about, they're going to talk about oral sex, anal sex, vaginal sex, deep kissing, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, use of alcohol, blood rituals, etc. So the parents think they're going to get what we used to get in the 70s and 80s, the reproductive system, but they get more than that. And those things are not science, they're social issues.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In regards, okay, remind the audience, please hold your applause to the end. Thank you, so that we can hear the response. Thank you. Our next question is, in regards to increasing special education teachers, I think that was Ms. Grau who talked about special education. In regards to increasing special education teachers, you say increase their salary, pay them more. What financial review have you done to ensure that the district has the money to pay them? Who would like to take that?
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay.
We received $12 million. The teachers got a raise too. Why can't we? The biggest problem with special education is hard. Special education teachers is hard to do. And we pay them exactly like regular teachers. We need to increase their salaries so they be attracted to work in the district. We have for 8 years a speech, special speech teacher. And for 8 years, we have not been able to fulfill it. I just don't believe that if we offer them enough money as an incentive, we can get those kids there. There's a shortage of every single school in our district.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Olson?
I would love to answer that because my son is in speech. And I requested speech for my son when he was in preschool, and nobody got back to me. And kindergarten, nobody got back to me. First grade, nobody got back to me. Finally, because of Virtual Academy and this wonderful teacher, Mrs. Ellis, she finally looked into it and told me that they have 3 days to get back to me as a parent, and nobody got back to me for years. And now my son barely gets speech because he has volunteers, which are wonderful, but they still need a speech teacher. And if we can't afford to pay these teachers, what are we just gonna leave my kid behind?
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else like to weigh in?
You know, I would just like to add, it's not so much necessarily what we are paying our special ed teachers. There is a shortage of special ed teachers across the nation. So there has been, definitely it's been a challenge. I don't disagree with that, but it has been challenging to fill some positions in the district, as it's been challenging really since COVID for many businesses in town to staff, and our teachers, it's no different. So that's all I really have to add on that.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Zamoyton, would you?
Yes, salary is a very interesting thing, just like we have Sacramento, which govern a lot of our rules. We also have teachers union and classified union. We can't just with the wave of our wand say we want to increase this person's position or that person's position. It has to involve discussions with the union. Yes, there is a shortage of special ed teachers, and our district does as good a job as we can to try to get the personnel that we need up here in the mountain. We have hiring problems like everyone else does up here. Also, as far as communicativeness and communication, I find it hard to believe that if someone were to come to the superintendent with those complaints, that they wouldn't be taken care of immediately. One of our jobs as a school board is to assess our superintendent annually, and we just got done doing that. We're in the process of doing that. And I can remember a time where someone has brought up a concern to me that hasn't been handled right away.
Thank you very much. This is to all four. If we were to face another health issue again, would you consider having the teachers Zoom into the classroom and allow the children to go to class? I guess they mean to Zoom into the classroom. That's what that would be. Anyone?
First of all these mandates violated our constitutional rights. And I would never do that, because we, as a person who's a candidate, every candidate in this room has signed just to be a candidate to uphold the Constitution. And so I would definitely make sure that whatever we do, their rights are not violated, whether it's a teacher, a student, parent, anything like that.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Well, I'm kind of confused about the question, because they're saying the kids go to classroom together, but the teacher will be Zooming.
That's what it sounds like to
So
me.
that means, let's protect the teachers, but not the kids. It's just not, it doesn't make sense. It's a nonsensical question, you know?
If we were to face another health issue, would you consider having the teachers Zoom into the classroom and allow the children to go to class? That's what I think they're asking.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Anyone else want to weigh in on that? Mr.
I
Zamoyton.
find it an odd question too. I would assume that they meant going back to Zoom lessons. So,
That's what,
I mean, obviously having a teacher at home and having students in the class doesn't seem like something that's, necessarily in those circumstances. But as far as going back to school online, again, like we mentioned, the state runs education, and when they give us health mandates, if we don't follow them, we can lose our insurance. So now we have an uninsured district. And I think Al Ziegler was just here saying that unfortunately sometimes they run the bus. And the next thing that comes is the school funds potentially getting held back. So, following, if we have to go back, I don't anticipate it. I think that's something in the past, but if we had to go back and that's what the state mandates, that's something we have to do. Also, as far as following the Constitution, Article 3 of the Constitution talks about the judicial branch. And if there's a disagreement on what's constitutional and not constitutional, it gets sent to the judiciary, and they ultimately decide what's constitutional and what isn't. I don't per what my personal preferences are.
okay, thank you very much. We have time for a couple more questions.
I just wanted to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Distance learning was really challenging for students and staff, as I mentioned earlier. We really worked hard to get our students back in the classroom, so it would be really difficult for me to imagine going back to any form of distance learning, because our kids learn best when they are in school. I am happy to say that our district had filed for a waiver very early on to get our kids back during the pandemic, and we were the second school district in the county of San Bernardino to return our students to classrooms during the pandemic, starting with elementary and some cohorts at the high school. and moving on from there. So I hope we never have to see another school semester of school year where we are engaging in distance learning again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Derrick. This question is also to the whole board. We can start with Mr. Zamueta and work our way down. What is the one thing you think kids want for their education here in Big Bear?
I think all kids want, I mentioned to you before how curriculum is kind of my bugaboo. I think all kids want education to be more engaging. And when you have a curriculum, pardon me, when you have a curriculum that's jam-packing things in there, you can't spend time really delving into different topics and having time to have kids really get interested in them, it makes school a place that might not be the most enjoyable place. So I think if kids really spoke their minds, that they'd say, we want more options, we want more things that are going to interest us, and they want more flexibility too, as far as being able to follow their passions at school sites.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Herrick.
Yes, I have to agree with that too. Engagement is really important for our students because that's what makes them feel connected to school. We do, one thing that I would like to see us continue with, and it is in process, is to add some additional career tech ed pathways, the CTE pathways at the high school. Introduce our kids to things that they see every day locally, but they don't know anything about. We've got a new aviation program. We have a MedCorps program, very popular automotive program, really something to, again, engage our kids, give them some insight into the type of careers that they might be able to have once they leave high school. And also we added a band teacher. So we have band now from 6th grade all the way through 12th. So just continuing to add these kind of extra things for our kids that is going to help them be engaged in school. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Olson, would you care to comment?
So I'm trying to think about what my kids how they would answer, because they do love going to school, and they have a lot of fun with their friends. But I definitely think when it comes to education, when we have these curriculums such as Common Core, it makes it really frustrating for them and moving on so quickly from one thing to another before they can even grasp the thing they're learning with Common Core. So I would, I don't know, I would just, if we could spend more time with one thing so they can grasp it and feel like they got it, and it'll give them the confidence to move on to the next instead of having things go so quickly and jam-packed. I think that that would be better for them.
Thank you. Ms. Grau?
Well, my 9-year-old would probably say science. I probably would say what Kelly said, let's get rid of core math, because even the parents can understand it. But at the high school level, I think we need to focus more on trade classes. Not every kid is going to go to college. And when I was going to high school with a broken English, I still have broken English. But as I remember I took drafting classes. That's where I got my first job right after high school. I worked for Parsons Corporation as a drafting person. And there were all kinds of classes like mechanics, like plumbing, like carpentry. And we need to bring those things back to get a lot of kids who are not going to go to college and get them prepared for an adult life.
Thank you so much. And our final question, should there be term limits on school boards? Should there be term limits, Ms. Grau, should there be term limits on school boards?
I can't hear the term.
Term limits.
On the school board, absolutely, absolutely. I'm running, maybe I get lucky and I win. And if I win, I just wish somebody after 4 years will take my place. You know, and Congress hasn't worked very well with non-limits, so why keep the same mistake over and over again? I see, you know, new people bring new ideas, younger people bring new ideas. Younger people have some of them have gone through college and have gone through a technology. The school there was when my kids went to school, It's very different than the school my granddaughter's going to school. And no matter how much of a teacher you were, you had 9 years of experience teaching and all that, it's different now. It's very different. So that change in limits would be great because you bring new ideas and experience of what the parents are doing right now with their kids.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Olson?
Yeah, I definitely agree with every board in this valley, in this world actually needs term limits because otherwise it just gets monotonous to the same thing and the same people doing the same stuff and then everybody's patting each other on the back saying everything's fine when it's not. And 12 years is a long time to be on a board without a fresh body, and especially having a current parent on the board, I think is more relevant than someone from 20 years ago.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Herrick?
I would be curious who submitted the question what they think a term limit should be for a school board member. I know when I first joined the board, it takes a couple of years for you to really grasp everything that is presented to you on a weekly basis. School budgets are not like business budgets, and that was something that I really had to wrap my head around. School funding is not like any household funding that any of us have ever experienced. So it really does take some time to kind of understand the issues. So experience does matter, but I don't know what the person thought the limit should be, but I think what's happened over time is that most people serve on boards and then they get to a point where it's time to move on.
Thank you. Mr. Zamueta?
I 100% support term limits. I think that a board member's term should be up when they lose their passion for education, when they stop innovating, when they stop caring about the job that they do. That's what a term limit should be. And I can tell you for myself, being the most tenured person on the board right now, that I'm not even close to that point. I still have a lot of excitement about education. If you want to see some of the innovative things that we've done in the last 2 years, you can go to my website, zamoida.com, and I have a list of just the stuff I could think of off the top of my head. There's probably 100 items there of the things that we've done during COVID time that are innovative and different, like starting work experience classes where kids can actually get credits for working outside of school. Internship programs we're working on so kids can get credit for doing internships during school time. Adding the aviation class, which was Jack Roberts' idea. It's a great idea. I want to talk about passionate kids. We are constantly changing, innovative, and doing everything we can, the current board, to make this district the best that they can be. When I lose my passion for education, I won't be talking like this. We'll get rid of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we now have our 2-minute closing statements. I'll start with Ms. Grau. 2-minute closing statement, please.
Who was the first? Okay. I'd like to take a moment to tell you what I intend to address if I get elected. 1, I want to provide transparency and better communication between the board and the public. 2, I want to reinstate the Resource Specialist Program classes, RSP, that were taken away in middle school and completely taken away in high school this year. The RSP students should get a high school diploma, not just a certificate of completion. RSP was eliminated to make the numbers look good for the district, but it doesn't help the children. I want to increase security personnel in middle school and high school and provide entry security at middle school and North Shore Elementary School, which is non-existent. I want to stop wasting instruction time with benchmark testing and eliminate social emotional classes that have been a complete failure. The district is super data driven and is not responding to the needs that best serve our children's learning. We need to bring back opportunity classes for kids with discipline issues. These were removed because of equity social promotion program. Getting a high school diploma and being prepared for adult life is more important. We need to stop social promotion and switch to merit promotion. Children are being moved forward to the next grade, but are multiple grades behind. The high school has a huge discipline problem that has not been addressed. Instead, it has been made worse by the board, by eliminating a lot of the consequences to their behavior. In conclusion, I want to remind you that listing the monies the board has applied and received from state and federal funds, money that has been offered to all schools, is not an accomplishment. It is their job. I hope you will use your voting power for the candidate who will make a difference in the education of our children, and not for the one who has the most science in town.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Olson, your 2-minute closing statement, please.
If I'm elected, I will be an advocate for all the students, including special ed, the teachers, and the parents. The school district has this core values statement on their website. To me, it doesn't feel like it's being used or played out. Students first in reality, it just feels like our students are just a number on some data chart. And I just don't feel like, I feel like there's a false perception of the reality that's going on in the schools. And I'd like to really put the students first. The mutual trust, I would really like to bring back trust between all the parents and the board members and the teachers and the staff all together, listening to the people I've met personally, door to door. I've heard a lot of things that I just really wish I could help them so that it would be, I don't know how to say this. I just really wish that we had a better communication between the parents, the board, the teachers. The teachers have issues. I just want to make sure that everybody's heard, all the kids, everybody. And dignity and respect is one of their other statements. And, special ed kids can't possibly have dignity when they're being forced to be with the other students, not having the confidence they need to continue on their education and feel confident with being at school and wanting to be there. And the respect, I just wish we can all respect each other and on the board with the parents and the teachers.
Thank you so much. Ms. Herrick, your 2-minute closing statement.
Again, I want to thank the chamber and the candidate forum committee for hosting tonight's forum. In closing, I will keep this brief. I just want to add that we have a well-functioning and caring board. We all bring a diverse perspective to the decisions that we make on behalf of our staff and students. We don't always necessarily 100% agree, and I think that is the sign of a healthy board because we can work through our problems and find solutions as a collective body. I do take exception to Ms. Olson's comment because as a board, we really do all live by the motto of putting students first in everything we do. It's not just a slogan, it's something that we all feel very deeply about. I provide stability and experience for the board and moving it forward, moving the district forward over the next 4 years. My priority for students is that they feel safe, supported, and empowered at all of our school sites. And with that, I would appreciate your vote on November 8th for the Bear Valley Unified School District Board Area 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Zamueta, your 2-minute closing statement, please.
I want to keep my closing statements positive, but I will address some of the concerns by some of the other candidates running here along with some factual evidence on my website, zamueta.com. Hopefully I'll get to it tonight. But on the positive side, I want to say that running for office is very interesting, especially my 4th time. I mentioned to the superintendent when I was talking to her recently that I really like it because it makes me reflect on what I did. We're always looking forward, assessing what we've done in the past, but moving forward, what can we do next to make the district better? And when I look back, I kept thinking of what happened during COVID. I can remember in March when they said they were closing schools. We couldn't believe it. The response of our district was phenomenal. Within 2 days, all of our students had electronic devices hooked to the internet so that they could take Zoom classes. There are other districts very similar to ours close to us who were with pencil and paper and worksheets for 6 months. You know, our tech department was phenomenal. Our curriculum directors had to work with our teachers to help them learn and facilitate delivering instruction online. Our teacher unions and our classified unions, it's a pretty complicated process when you're changing what the normal paces are, and they were totally on board with doing what's best for kids. Rita Acevedo in child nutrition, we still serve students 800 meals while they were at home, the students in need. Our transportation department helped deliver some of those for the people who couldn't come pick them up. Terry Plans with maintenance and operation, he kept all our facilities open and in working order, because sometimes when there aren't people in them, they actually don't do so great. And our community partnered with us. We talked to our daycare centers and even High Trails Outdoor Ed helped work with the students doing their online classes during the day so that parents can go to work. We have a phenomenal district who's through the hardest of times showed their true spirit. We have an amazing school district, top to bottom. We've come a long way since I started on the board in 2008, and I would really appreciate the opportunity for 4 more years and helping to continue to make our schools better.
Thank you, Mr. Zaboyda, and my thanks to all the panelists this evening for participating. That concludes our discussion. We wish you all the best of luck, and you are excused. City of Big Bear Lake City Council, where there are three seats open. Panel, correct me if I'm wrong. 3 seats open, 4 if the recall is successful. So first, I'll introduce the candidates this evening. The candidate, if you want to acknowledge by raising your hand or whatever, that's fine. I'm going to start with Mr. Jim Aiken. Mr. Aiken is a candidate for District 1. He is an active community volunteer, retired engineer and business owner, and a former Rancho Santa Margarita planning commissioner and chairman. Mayor Rick Herrick, representing District 2, is owner and general manager for K-Bear FM radio station here at Big Bear, and has served on the city council in leadership roles since 2006. Council member Perry Melnick, representing District 4. Ms. Melnick is a healthcare attorney, and she was appointed to the council in July of last year, and previously served on the board of the Bear Valley Community Healthcare District. Then Mr. Corey Blake Mahalik, who is a candidate for District 4. Mr. Mahalik has called Big Bear his home away from home for 20 years and recently moved to Big Bear. Member of Rotary, he is running for city council because he wants to help more individuals get involved in local politics. Councilmember Randall Putz, representing District 3, is a local business owner and has served in leadership roles as councilman for 14 years and a school board trustee. Ms. Kenny Segovia is a candidate for District 1 and a 15-year retired guest services manager at Big Bear Mountain Resort and is a community advocate. And Mr. Paul Sokolov, candidate for District 3, is a healthcare industry professional, a former serviceman in the U.S. Air Force, and is finishing a secondary teaching credential, practice teaching at Bear Valley Middle School. 3 other candidates declined our invitation to participate this evening, including Omar Torres Casares, Robert Barton, and Councilmember Alan Lee. So candidates, we do have a timing protocol. You probably have seen most of it, but we'll go over this real fast, real quickly. We have the green card for 30 seconds. When you have 30 seconds left, you'll see that green card. And when you have 10 seconds left, you'll see the yellow. And when your time is up, you'll see the red. And what we don't want to hear is, thank you. Okay, let's begin with opening statements from each of you. You have 2 minutes to make your opening statement. Why don't we start here with Ms. Segovia?
Hi, my name is Kendi Segovia. I have lived in the Fox Farm area in Big Bear Lake for 26 years. My husband and I have raised our family here. My children and my grandchildren still live in the Big Bear Valley. My family has had a cabin in Big Bear for over 50 years. I know Big Bear. I know where we've come from. I know where we're at, and I believe I can help steer our future. I am also leading the recall effort of Alan Lee and have been diligently working on this for months. Big Bear's long history is so important. The current councilman has only been in the valley for a few short years and doesn't know our history. After 26 years in the valley, it is so important to have strong ties to the community. I am retired. I do not own a business. I feel in the last couple of years, business owners, realtors, and others in our community have been portrayed as the enemy when they are a vital part of our economy. I will work with them and anyone else with ideas that will bring in economy that can be sustained in Big Bear. I will try to work to revitalize the boulevard, move forward with businesses that can occupy the Kmart Center. I will not fight against my fellow council members behind their backs. I will listen to the constituents in District 1 and treat them with civility and respect. I also believe in keeping our town safe and thriving while preserving the hometown feel of our beautiful Big Bear community.
Thank you so much. Can we hit Mr. Herrick? Opening statement, 2 minutes.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. These sort of events, I think, are really important for engagement in our community. And welcome everybody here tonight, as well as everyone who is online watching as well. Big Bear has really changed a lot since I was a kid. Coming to Big Bear, I've been a full-time resident for 30 years. I'm a 6th generation Californian, and most of the time spent right here in Southern California. I do understand Big Bear. I've seen it change from a single highway to a double highway, to the expansion of our ski areas, to combining our ski areas, to Mammoth coming in. I've seen our lake full, and unfortunately I've seen our lake lower at this time. I have quite a bit of experience actually with different boards that I've been on, understanding how boards work, understanding how leadership works in our community. I understand also how important it is actually to have a calm hand when we have turbulent waters, which sometimes we do have. We have 5 people basically on city council. Each one of us have an equal hand on what I'll call the tiller of our sailboat moving through the waters. And each person has the opportunity to push that tiller one direction or the other. And I think that's really important for our community to understand. It's not the single person that changes the direction. It's actually 5 people that change the direction of our community. I'd like to continue doing what I've been doing. It's been 4 terms that I've been on. Somebody asked earlier about term limits. Actually, I think that's a good idea, term limits. I almost wish there were term limits in existence now. But with that said, I feel a definite necessity to continue to lead the community. I have the most experience of our council members, and I do enjoy and absolutely love our Big Bear community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Herrick. Mr. Mahalik, your 2-minute statement, please.
Thank you. Guys, I'm honored to be here today. I have relevant experience I studied civil engineering at UC Irvine, and I have a lot of small business experience. I've owned my self-serve frozen yogurt store in San Diego for about 14 years now, so I really understand just running a budget of a business and how it relates to a city. I am very adamant about recycling, and I wanted to promote an idea I have with short-term rentals should be required to recycle. Currently, everyone is just throwing everything in the trash can, and then when they show up to the Clean Bear site, they're unaware that they have separate for the cans and bottles, mixed paper, you have to flatten your cardboard. Right now, it all just goes in the trash dumpster, and I'm really passionate about getting that idea out there where short-term rentals should be required to recycle. And there needs to be more education on the different bins that we have at the Clean Bear sites, and it's not just all trash. I come from the city of Carlsbad, and I have a lot of experience with the council and the different planning commissions that we have there. And I would like to bring some of that here to Big Bear by establishing more planning commissions to advise city council. I have heard that we should be starting a short-term rental commission, and I propose that that should be for all housing, short-term rentals and long-term rentals, because I feel like they're so interconnected. I do not promote a cap, but I think we maybe should draw a map. I think there should be certain areas that kind of could be STR alley. We all know where some of those areas are, where I don't think those areas should be affected by a cap. But if we do a cap, it would apply to areas outside of the map. Once again, I'm Corey Blake. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a quick sound check. Can everyone hear our candidates?
Yes.
All right, great. I believe Mr. Butts, you are next. Your 2-minute opening statement, please.
Thank you, Marlene. And thank you especially to our chamber, the board members, the dedicated staff. And I want to thank the candidates who showed up tonight, that are participating, that are respecting the efforts of the chamber and respecting the voters to help us all be better educated citizens. For my part, I have faithfully served Big Bear Lake for 14 years as an elected city council member and school board trustee. My many leadership positions, including mayor, president of the school board, chairman of Big Bear Fire Authority and Mountain Transit, as well as several regional leadership roles at the Southern California Association of Governments and the League of California Cities, I believe is a demonstration of the trust and confidence placed in me by both my community and my peers. I'm told I'm valued for my calm demeanor and common sense, and I do my best to take a balanced, rational approach to problem solving, always striving to represent all members of the community and working hard to find consensus and a positive way forward. I raised my 2 children in Big Bear Lake. I have deep roots in the community as a local businessman. I've lived here for over 23 years, a founding member of both the Big Bear Valley Trails Foundation and the Big Bear Valley Education Trust. I think my experience counts, and I think it helps our community rise to the challenges ahead, and I appreciate your support for thoughtful, reasonable, and respectful public service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Putz. Mr. Aiken.
Thank you. I also want to thank the chamber for putting on this forum. This is a very important part of local politics for us for people to get to know the candidates. And I'm very thankful we have that. My name is Jim Aiken, running for City Council of District 1. I retired from being an engineering manager, senior engineering manager for Toshiba in electronics. When I was looking at retiring, I looked at various places in the Southwest US. I fell in love with the village. I have been up here before and just love the village, love the mountains, the trees, all the neighbors and the neighborhoods that are cabinish instead of one tract house after another. I've been in the valley for 4.5 years and full-time for 2.5 years. I did recently move less than 1 mile so that I could be in the city limits, so I could run in this recall election. My residency meets all the requirements that have been put forward by the city council rules. One of the things that, the reason why I'm sitting before you today is teamwork. The main issue, I think, with Allen Lake and why there's a recall is that there's been a problem. We talked about division, there's a problem with teamwork. In my career, in addition to my personal professional career, I have had many things that I've enjoyed doing, a golf club, putting on a parade at San Juan Capistrano, Foundation in Rancho Santa Margarita. I was on the planning commission. And in all of these, my approach has always been, starting out, what can I do to help?
And I take on whatever the next job is, doing traffic control during the parade, for example. And as a result of that, after a while, my leadership capability has come out, and people have asked me to be a leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Ms. Melnick, your opening statement, please.
Thank you, and I would also like to thank the chamber, and Marlene, thank you for moderating tonight. And thank you all for being here and all the people who are on Zoom. It's really nice to see the engagement. My name is Perry Melnick, and I'm your current council member for District 4. I'm also a neighbor, a full-time resident, a working mother. As Marlene said, I have my own law practice and a wife. A little more than a year ago, when Mayor Corretto's council seat became available, I made the decision to raise my hand to serve, because service to community has always been important to me, and I truly believe that I had something of value to add. I'm not a politician, and this process has made it clear to me that I'm not a politician, and I have no interest in being one. I'm simply interested in serving my neighbors and our community to the best of my ability. I pride myself on my work ethic, integrity, fair, balanced approach, and my commitment to always working in the best interest of our community. As I said when I was appointed, and I continue to mean, I'm committed to doing my best to serve without personal ego or personal agenda. I understand that this job isn't about me, and I'm not beholden to any specific group or interest except the citizens of Big Bear Lake. I'm not in anyone's pocket. Amongst other experience, prior to serving on city council, as Marlene said, I served on the Bear Valley Community Healthcare District, where I was appointed and then elected. And I also served on the volunteer board of the Big Bear Ski Educational Foundation, which I did before I was actually a full-time resident. My focus is on living Big Bear, making Big Bear Lake the best place to live and raise a family. To me, that means affordable long-term housing for families, local businesses and resources to serve our residents' needs, programs and activities for our kids, infrastructure, including Replenish Big Bear, public safety, our sheriffs, firefighters, and paramedics, and a balanced approach to short-term rentals. I look forward to you learning more about me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melnick. Mr. Sokoloff, will you have your 2-minute opening statement, please?
Thank you. Good evening. I do want to thank the Chamber for hosting, and I want to thank everyone for participating in the audience and on Zoom. I do want to introduce myself as Paul Sokoloff, and I first moved to Big Bear in 1982, originally taking a position at Snow Summit. I had moved to the Los Angeles area, and at that time thought I had a high-paying job. I was in for culture shock and quickly found for the first winter season, a trip to Snow Summit kind of changed that aspect. The following year, I did sign on full-time. I worked for Cheryl Hightower and Pat Follett. Under their guidance, I enjoyed and loved every moment of my service within the ski area industry. Like many others, I did have to seek out a second job, and I worked 3 evenings a week. I also shared a full-time rental with someone else that had their season of ski bum at the ski area. I really took time that next summer, as many of us did from our ski family, and reassessed, and then decided to continue on with an education. And I commuted up and down the hill to Cal State San Bernardino. And at that time, there were only 2,000 students at the university. I continued on. I completed another degree. I went on to do student teaching, student taught here with Tom Bonetto at the middle school. Jane Pearson was there. I did feel included, and I really appreciate having the unity of the environment and feeling like this is home. I've been here, I reside here, I'm community-based. We need to unify. We need to move forward as a community, and I put that first. Councilman Perry already talked about affordable housing and economic engines.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sokoloff. Okay, let's turn to our first question. And Mr. Sokoloff, why don't we stay with you for this first question? And we'll just come down the road. The Measure O proposition on the November 8th ballot has somewhat divided city residents over the restriction of short-term rentals and other provisions. Please first state if you support or oppose Measure O, and then please describe your reasons why. Mr. Sokolov.
I do support Measure O. I really applaud the citizens and the committees that got together in order to develop this. There was a long-standing, I think it was over a year, of work with the current council at that time. And there was truly an issue that was coming up with oversaturation. And I began to attend committee meetings. I came to council, I listened. I have experience with 3 short-term vacation rentals right around me that are full-time businesses that displace families from this area. And in doing so, I think we just need a balance. And I did not believe, along with many others, that the council members were listening.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Melnick, what is your response?
Sure, thank you. I don't support the citizens initiative, and I've made that clear. I think I made that clear on the ad hoc committee. I believe that it goes too far and will have a detrimental impact on our economy and the livelihoods of our residents. I believe that we need a fair and balanced approach, which I believe Council Putz and I really tried to work hard for at the ad hoc committee. Now, I understand and appreciate that many of the full-time residents felt unheard during the pandemic and things got out of balance. I am in favor and continue to be in favor of finding a more balanced approach to short-term rentals. It's hard to answer this question in 1 minute. If people are looking for more information about my position, they can certainly go back and look at the recordings and the information that we put out for the ad hoc committee, where we fully addressed this issue.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Aiken.
Yeah, thank you. I recognize that the proponents of the initiative really did have valid reasons for wanting to limit the short-term rentals. However, the way the initiative is written really didn't address what I think their goal should have been, was something related more along the lines of density. Even if the initiative is passed as it is, the people who are complaining will still have the nuisance neighbors around them. A year ago, the city council passed an emergency ordinance, and we should have given that a little bit more time to take effect. So I basically think we should vote no on Measure O and continue with the work that council members Melnick and Putz, they put a process in place. And when we come back again after election, we need to make sure, go ahead and look at basically the values, whatever the economic value versus the quality of life values, to try to come up with a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Mr. Putz.
No, I don't support it. I personally understand and experience the pain and disruption when a historic pandemic caused unprecedented surge in tourism in our valley, but Measure O is an overkill. It ties the hands of the city, requiring another ballot measure to make changes to private home rental rules, denies homeowner rights. It threatens our home equity, and it actually is going to do the opposite, where it's going to make limited rental nights contribute to more crowded neighborhoods at the worst time when it's most busy. It's not going to magically alleviate our workforce and affordable housing issues. And the economic study, if you take the most conservative interpretation, it's going to do a lot of damage to our community.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Putz. Mr. Mahalik.
Thank you. I'm a firm believer that no and O is the only way to go. I feel that a cap of 1,500 on the total number of vacation rental licenses is too restrictive. And I don't like that we would have no idea of when someone can open a new vacation rental license. Is it going to be 2 years? Is it going to be 20 years? We have no idea. So I wouldn't feel comfortable passing Measure O because it leaves more answers than questions of when can anyone get a vacation rental license again. Also, limiting to 30 stays a year is going to force STRs to just rent on the most profitable days, winter, weekends, holidays. And I thought Big Bear was a 4-season vacation destination. This is gonna turn STRs to be mostly in winter, July 4th, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and that's it. So no on O is the only way to go, and we need to protect property owners' rights by, once again, no on O. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahalik. Mr. Herrick.
I completely understand the reason why O was created, and unfortunately, it was another foil in our community, which actually divided the community and didn't bring the community together. I think actually we could have solved the problem had we come together. There are elements of O that I completely object to. Number one, the 30 contracts, I think that will condense everything down into a very short period of time. I think that the community can't handle a large volume of people in a very short period of time, and that's essentially what will happen. Limiting also that you have to have a list of people who are in your house, I think that just violates your property rights. I don't think that is correct. The number of 1,500, which they're projecting, I think that naturally that number is going to come down anyways, because this was an effect of COVID. And the worst thing that can happen with this is you have people who want to be on city council. It's going to tie the hands of everybody who's up there for years to come, because it will take another vote to change anything that is linked to this. So essentially, I encourage you to vote no and no and leave it up to the chamber, or leave it up to the city council's future.
Thank you, Mr. Herrick. Ms. Segovia.
I am definitely a no on O. The measure is too restrictive and cannot be changed. I think a decade or more from now, maybe some of us will be here, some of us won't be here. People will be questioning why this was ever passed. This definitely infringes on property rights. There is an ordinance in place, and there needs to be time to allow it to work, some of the little wrinkles to get, flattened out. And I think it should be reviewed regularly to make tweaks when it's needed. And I'm also extremely sad that it has divided the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Segovia. Why don't we stay with you and we'll go back the other way for our second question. Understanding the unprecedented divisiveness on city council these past 2 years, how do you see yourself collaborating with fellow council members moving forward to make the best decisions for residents and businesses of the city?
Well, Alan Lee is my council person, and I really think the divisiveness that has come is all because of him and all his little backdoor deals that he's working on. The fact that he's trying to put up people against the incumbents that are people that think like him, that are like-minded like him, which is actually something that he told me in a one-on-one conversation that we had. I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Herrick.
Well, I mean, the best way to handle this is actually, I believe, how I've viewed it over the last couple of years. And that everybody has a voice, everybody in this room has a voice. And we need to listen carefully to everyone who comes forward with their issues that they might have. And that includes all council members, no matter who the council members are. But with that said, it's really difficult when it becomes personal and the attacks are personal. We lose respect for each other. And unfortunately, that path has been taken. And I would like to actually see us with a council, whoever the council is coming forward, reverse that and begin to respect each other and each other's points of view, personal attacks taken out, and listen carefully to each other. I think if we can start doing that within our community, stop dividing the community, and start unifying this community, we'll start listening to each other once again.
Thank you, Mr. Herrick. Mr. Mahoney.
So as a council member, we're the voice of our constituents. We need to listen to everyone, and not just our district, but our entire city of Big Bear Lake. And I've found great success with social media. I know we're talking about collaborating with our council members, but I feel that we need social media options, say like Facebook, different Facebook groups where we can talk about politics, because I don't see enough people participating, say coming into the council meetings, speaking on the issues, speaking on the general comments. I see more and more people very open to share their heart and their mind on Facebook. And whether being positive or negative, that's how we need to work together as a council, as we need to get together to listen to more of our constituents. And like I said, I'm not seeing enough people coming and giving 3-minute speeches in council. We need to find more modern, mentioning Facebook again, social media ways to hear from our constituents.
Thank you so much. Mr. Putz.
The first way to address it is at the ballot box. And to pay attention to who you are voting for, and hopefully do your research and talk to people who are involved and have had experience with the candidates. Beyond that, once people are seated, I've had the opportunity to learn sometimes the hard way of what I believe makes a good, high-functioning council school board. And it boils down to a certain amount of humility, recognizing you don't know it all, and also a certain amount of respect and empathy for the people who you work with. That works wonders. When people don't possess that, as we've witnessed, it's very painful and very damaging.
Thank you, Mr. Putz. Mr. Aiken.
Yes, thank you. Well, the reason why I'm sitting here before you today is exactly because of this reason. At the end of last year and beginning of this year, I became very, very alarmed with Mr. Lee's behavior. I did send a letter, an email to the then manager about the issue. So I decided that I moved, like I said, I moved 1 mile so I could be in the district. And I think that my experience, for example, being on the planning commission for 10 years, including being the chairman, and as I will explain in my closing statement, I am directly involved in the community. You may have known about the fun run. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that's why I'm sitting here. I believe that I can step into that seat on the city council and work well with all the others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken.
Sure, would you just mind repeating? It's been a lot of people answering it. And
Sure.
I can just make sure.
My pleasure. Understanding the unprecedented divisiveness on city council the past 2 years, how do you see yourself collaborating with fellow council members moving forward to make the best decisions for residents and businesses in the city?
Thank you. I think I've shown how I've done that in the last year, which is remembering why I'm there, which is that it's not about me and it's about serving the community, and it's about staying focused on the issues that are important to the people in the community. I have worked very hard to stay above the fray and to stay focused on the work that we have at hand, which isn't to say that it's easy. I have learned to have to grow a thick skin doing this job. And I'll be honest, it wasn't an easy decision to decide to run again because of the dynamics on the board. But I felt that the voice that I have and the job that I have to do for the community is more important than that. And as a community and as a council, we can find ways to rise above it. I think we've done a very good job of that, of putting rules in place to make sure that we can get back and focus on the work of the community and trying to bring it back together.
Thank you, Ms. Melvin. Mr. Sokolov.
Yes, I do have to repeat, it's not about me, but it really is about we. I know that the Measure O is a little bit of a challenge for a lot, but when I said I supported the committee that went forward with a ballot, it really was telling because many residents felt that they did not have a voice, and that was citywide. I also want to suggest is that maybe if we change how we see, then we can see how we change to promote future growth and for the betterment of our community. I get vacation rentals. I understand that, but when they're full-time businesses in a residential community, residential zoning was set up just for this very fact. I couldn't open up a car auto repair business next to me. And I really want to work moving forward. It's a balance of everyone. And we should be working together. And we do need to think about one another more collegially.
Thank you so much. And in keeping in that line of thought, here's an audience question for all of you. We can start with it. Anyone who wants to start. Looking forward, how do we create one Big Bear? Specifically, how might you unite all homeowners and renters? So there's really two questions there. So I'll go back to how do you create one Big Bear? Mr. Goldman.
Well, I mean, we could first start out by starting to build our relationships back together that have kind of fallen away. I don't know if the person is asking about one Big Bear, like Big Bear City, Big Bear Lake. Unfortunately, I think Big Bear City and Big Bear Lake should have probably been together way a long time ago. But I know now people are proud of either living in a Big Bear Lake or Big Bear City, and I think it's going to be hard to change people's minds on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to address that question? Yes, Mr. Herrick.
You know, the question about one Big Bear actually has been addressed previously. And at the time, and I'm going back over 40 years ago, it was voted down by the public. I think at some point, we're going to realize that we are one valley. And what we do here in the city affects the entire valley. And as long as our council members recognize that that is what takes place, I think that we will have empathy for everyone. And I'm talking all the way from Forest Falls to the dam. We will then at that particular point, whether we are one city or not one city, I think we'll work as one. And currently, I and other council members are working with the CSD members and work very closely with our fire department, which has become one, which is very important. And I think there's other places where we could do that as well. I really believe that someday, maybe not in my lifetime, we will be one valley.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Herrick. Yes, Mr. Mel.
I feel like my biggest challenge of being a council member or candidate rather of just one district is I have a couple hundred friends in Big Bear, and when I was starting my paperwork to run, I realized that about 198 of them live in Big Bear City. And I'm familiar, you know, it was 1980, a couple years before I was born, when the city was incorporated. And I feel like that's just been a big dividing factor of we are all one mountain, and we need to kind of work together on some of these issues. And I would say, as far as, you know, ethics and integrity and duties of the job, the one thing that I will kind of sway on is I can't specifically just listen to District 4 people, because we are all one Big Bear. And, you know, Big Bear City, Big Bear Lake, you know, we are divided as far as council and our duties of the job. I'm supposed to be just District 4, but I truly do love all of Big Bear, and anyone on the mountain can come talk to me anytime and influence me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to address that? Mr. Putz?
Can you repeat it, please?
Looking forward, how do we create one Big Bear?
So I'm going to interpret that as a unified Big Bear, not a single incorporated city. And so based on unifying us, I think we need to work on mending fences. I think there's been some damage to our relationships over the last couple of years. And I think we need to work on building bridges. If we focus on our strengths, I think we have great capacity for significant accomplishments. And I've experienced that firsthand working in a variety of capacities that aren't just city-specific, but that are valley-specific as well. Another thing I would encourage us to do is to get together in person and put down our devices.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to address that?
Sure, I'll just piggyback on that, which is, I believe it's about unity, and I believe it's about focusing on the things that we actually have in common, as opposed to things that divide us. There has been this us versus them I got an email the other day accusing me of being with them for attending one unity picnic versus another. That doesn't do anything to help bring the community together. The fact is, we may disagree on one issue, but there's 15 others that we happen to agree on. And the truth is, we can disagree on policy without being personal. And it serves us well as a council and as a community to have debates and discussions and differences on policy, understanding that we all have the same interest, which is that we all care and love our community and are working in the best interest of our community. We may just have different views on how to get there.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Aiken.
Yes, well, I think the first thing, and I would like to help with that, is getting a cohesive city council. I attended meetings, Barbara, for example, the water district, I think, and I saw the debate regarding the education board, the hospital board. I've gone to a get together with that. We have a lot of really good groups in the city limits. Well, Barbara's in Big Bear City. I think it's a matter of doing an outreach to people in Big Bear City to get them more interested in becoming a part of what the city is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken. This next question, yes, go ahead, Mr. Sokolov.
I firmly believe in collaboration, and one of the ways to get there is, as Randy Putz had mentioned, is to meet with people in person and sit down and talk with them directly. I think that really adds value because then you have a better understanding. The last 2 years with the pandemic, I have been on Zoom and I've been working remotely, and it really doesn't have the same feel as when you connect with somebody, you empathize with them, you listen for understanding, and then you can reach that common ground so necessary to move forward. I do know, and I've been here long enough to know that there was divisions with the fire departments, and it took a long time to get on that common thread in order to move forward. And we do have a responsibility about us reaching out instead of waiting for someone else to come to us. So we can work together.
Okay, thank you so much. This question is for everyone on the panel. Do you think the Moon Ridge project was worth the $10 million spent on it? And what are your dreams for that area? Who would like to take that question? Yeah, Mr. Herrick.
Could you repeat the last of that question?
Yes. Do you think the Moon Ridge project was worth the $10 million spent on it? And what are your dreams for that area?
Well, it is a beautiful area now. This was an area that if you've been spending time driving up to the mountain, people would drive 50 miles an hour through that area there, wouldn't even notice the businesses. It's very dangerous to cross the street. There really wasn't enough parking. And it felt more like a freeway. In fact, some of the people at businesses on Moon Ridge said it was like a freeway. Now, it is absolutely beautiful. Now, the cost was partially borne actually by the tourists because we took TOT money and actually used it for that. We took Measure Y money and used it for that as well. We took the SBCTA loan money, which is the San Bernardino County Transit Authority money, and combined that together with our general fund, which we're running in surplus at the time, and actually able to basically pay cash for this. Is it worth it? You know, if you look at the investments that are made and the long-term effects, I would have to say 100%, but it was worth every penny.
Thank you, Mr. Herrick. Anyone else like to address the Moon Ridge question? Okay, Mr. Putz.
So to people not familiar with public works projects, the amount of money sounds like a lot. The reality is it really isn't. And as Mayor Herrick pointed out, only a small fraction of that did we actually pay for here locally. So I think we got great value for it. And people may recall that when we did a lot of work on the village, there was some criticism of that, and look at it now. I regularly get compliments about it, and I think we all enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to address the Moon Ridge? Okay. Oh, okay, quickly, Mr. Holland, go ahead.
So I'm really excited to see what it's going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, because that's going to be the next business district. Call it the new Pine Knot, the new village. there's a lot of talk about it around town of how it's a lot more walk friendly and cars aren't gonna be doing 50 miles an hour down there anymore. And hopefully it attracts, you know, Black Diamond Restaurant that didn't make it. I would like to think that someone's gonna take that over and kind of resurrect that business. And I'm really looking forward to a lot more walk-friendly tourist businesses opening up in the area. And like I said, 5, 10, 20 years from now, I'm excited to see what it's gonna be.
Thank you so much.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I do think that our village is one of the prettiest places I've seen. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful at night. And it is a big draw for visitors. And I think it's a great opportunity to revitalize that area with some more new businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would agree with that. I think it was money well spent, and as we see that it wasn't a lot of money that came from the citizens here, I'm excited about what the Moonridge Corridor can be. I think it could be our next business district. One of the things that I would like to see is for the city to make it easier for businesses to develop and be able to go into that area to get an alternative to the village. And I think it's a great and exciting opportunity for the citizens of Moonridge as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Speaking of money, if you received $1 million grant, someone in the audience would like to know, you could use it for anything you wanted. What would you use it for and why? $1 million grant. Who would like to take that?
I really wanted to speak up on this.
Okay.
When we had, you know, I know that there was a short time frame in order to do data analysis on a quantitative basis. What I really would like to do is take the time to really get to understand Big Bear a little bit better and do a qualitative study for how people feel as residents within the community and bring that to the council and have that as part of a strategic plan as we grow in the future. And our strategic plan should be able to support that balance. We need to develop infrastructure. We need to look at how we're developing. We need to make sure that we have our public services available and ready at the spot. I know when the fire department was looking at the parcel tax measure, that one of the things I did when I spoke up with Chief Willis was about grant funding and do the research to it. And at that time I was back in school doing further research. And I think that would benefit us overall. So it's a win-win.
Thank you. Ms. Melnick, go ahead.
I'll piggyback off of what Paul was saying, which is I have my own ideas of what I'd like to spend $1 million on, but I don't think that's necessarily what the community wants to spend $1 million on. And the truth is, what we've been talking about when we were waiting till our new city manager came, which is the community visioning process, which is, I think, Paul, what you're talking about, which is making sure that we hear from everybody in the community, not just people who show up at city council meetings, but the people who ride the bus, the kids that go to, the people who go to football games, to get a full understanding and grasp of what the citizens of Big Bear Lake want for the future of Big Bear Lake. So I have my ideas on $1 million. I'm excited for that visioning process to begin, that we can begin to get an idea of what the people of Big Bear Lake would want us to spend $1 million.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Aiken.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on that a little bit. As part of the fun run with Big Bear Lake, we just recently got some requests for money, and we said we did donations throughout the community. But I would like to see if we could expand the general plan in the future. People have said in the city council meetings that we need to improve our school programs. The people on the education board talked about that. That would be a good place to put some money. And also what's going on with the hospital. That would be a good place for us to have some plans. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Mahalik.
With $1 million, I would like to donate it all to a new Parks and Recreation Planning Commission. I feel that our recreation is lacking. The one true park that I feel like has lived up to its potential is the Meadow Park, and it's owned by the county. And I think that a new Parks and Rec Planning Commission would be able to improve our current parks, upgrade their recreation, And hopefully someday start buying some of our current parks back from the county so we can maintain them ourselves. My best friend up here in Big Bear is Kurt Siegel, the Big Bear Tattoo. And I'd be in trouble if I didn't mention that he wants batting cages for our Little League, because he says our teams are a little inferior to some of these down the hill teams because they have more resources. But if we were able to get batting cages up here in Big Bear, it would really help our little leagues crush the other kids. Very important.
Thank you so much. Mr. Herrick, did you want to?
If I could, sadly these days, $1 million doesn't go as far as it used to. That's the truth. But if I could take that and multiply it by 20 or 30, there's some very big, important things that our community needs. We have to think about our water and our future of our water. We have to think about our forests. We think about, we just saw a major forest fire just touching on the edge of this community. If it made it in our community, $1 million, $10 million, $100 million would have not been enough to have our community recover. That's how big that is. And if we could use some of that money, for instance, for doing effective thinning of the forest, and I love the forest. I spend a lot of time in the forest, riding my bike. I don't want to do anything to disrupt the forest, but I've got to tell you, a major forest fire in this town will destroy our forest, destroy our community. So a little thinning here and there, I think, is very appropriate. And I would use $1 million or $10 million, $100 million to try to accomplish water and also taking care of our forest.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Herrick. That goes right into our next audience question, which is to the council, or to all the panelists. What could the council do locally to help mitigate climate change? What could the council do locally to help mitigate climate change? Who would like to take that? No, Mr. Herrick, go ahead.
Well, we need to take care of our planet, period. And however you view that, and if it's just releasing of CO2, there's so much more actually taking care of our planet than that. Do we do it? Absolutely. I think that's necessary. Do we create other problems by just worrying about CO2? I think we do that as well. So it has to be a holistic approach to how we're going to take care of our planet. It does include, I heard recycling earlier. Absolutely. We need to do those sort of things. We need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to keep our environment here in Big Bear as pristine as possible. Our environment is our economy here. And if we destroy it, if we don't take care of it, I think we're making a major mistake. Not only just for the beauty of what we love here. Every time I cross the dam and I get into Big Bear, I realize we are so lucky to live here, but also thousands of people, millions of people also respect and love Big Bear for that particular reason. So we need to take care of our environment. We need to take care of our planet.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Mahalan.
Back to earlier when I was saying about forcing with new rules and regulations to have short-term rentals recycle. There's not enough awareness to, yeah, they have to haul out their own trash to the clean bear sites. But when they show up there with everything that's backed up in a trash bag, it all goes in the dumpster. So I truly believe there needs to be rules and regulations and bringing more awareness to, there's like 5 different dumpsters there we have at the Clean Bear site. And I think it should be required for short-term rentals to have a different bin for all of those different things. Today, I visited the Visit Big Bear, the tourist office, and I'm proud to say I purchased a Care for Big Bear, Preserve Our Natural Playground patch. Should be wearing it right here today, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to comment? Mr. Putz.
So there's 2 parts to that for me. One is some of that's going to be dictated, and as your representative on the Mojave Desert Mountain Recycling Joint Powers Authority, which is a bunch of cities, including Big Bear Lake and the High Desert, that have gotten together to work on trash and recycling issues that contribute significantly to climate change. Some of that's already in the process of being addressed and or will be dictated by the state. Beyond that, there is no place in the world like Big Bear Lake. And we have a very special home here, very special environment. And I look forward to the opportunity to explore the idea of sustainable tourism and how we can implement that here in our valley, learning from other communities that may have insights into that as well.
Thank you so much. Anyone else like to address that?
I'd like to follow up with this.
Okay.
One of the things of climate change and stuff is the exhaust emissions from the amount of traffic that goes forward. And while I don't have any definitive program in place, I think it would be wise for the council leaders in order to come together and look at a process that encompasses alternative transportation modes, or maybe combining transportation needs of tourism that is here in the valley, as well as our residents. If we can look at that and partner with Mountain Transit, can we come up with something that is more sustainable than having 50,000 cars come up on a single day? I don't know. I think it's up to our community to also look at what the community can offer. As I've gone door to door, I've listened to many and have gotten great ideas from many of the residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else care to comment? Okay. We have time for a couple more. This is also to all of you. If Proposition O passes, how do you think it would impact the summer business if there are no short-term rentals available? You want to take that?
Could you repeat?
Yes. If Proposition O passes, how do you think it will impact the summer business if there are no short-term rentals available?
We have a very large lodging industry that's up here that's been suffering. And we really need to promote all opportunities for overnight lodging. I am not against short-term rentals. I am against the oversaturation of some of the short-term rentals, and partly because we have not taken the time to really develop the infrastructure. The LA Times had a scathing article about the community here, and that the city council leaders did not take effective action in order to help support the infrastructure process to support the amount of tourists. I think we need a balance moving forward.
Thank you. And Mr. Sokoloff, there is a question directed for you on the same topic, if I may. It's asking, could you please explain why your name and phone number are listed in ads for short-term rentals, although you state you have not owned or operated a short-term rental?
That is true. I have not owned or operated a short-term rental in Big Bear Lake. Quite a distant time ago, we had looked at, or I had looked at the opportunity. I met with a couple of agencies and I did not feel it was feasible. There was a comparison time frame at that. An architectural website actually kind of jumped the gun on something, and we had been engaging into one of the management companies. And in doing so, some of these things came out and we decided against it, and then completely forgot about anything on a website, on an architectural website only. It was an honest mistake. The house has never been rented, and we have never rented here in Big Bear.
Thank you for that clarification. Panel, another Measure O question. If Measure O passes, how do you plan to deal with, they're calling this illegal underground rentals that are not paying into TOT? Mr. Mahalik.
I feel like the best way to catch them is red-handed. We would, like we've done in the past, looked at the listings on Airbnb and VRBO, and there's other sites like booking.com, hotels.com that people could list on. We've done it in the past where you check if they have an active vacation rental license, and there's a dozen things we look for and we find for, over occupancy, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the way to catch them is red-handed, just with their listings on Airbnb, and it shows the calendar, how many bookings they've had, and I think they need to pay significantly more than the taxes that would have been owed. And there is a way to ban a short-term rental, and I think someone that's not following the rules and dodging the taxes, well, they should probably be banned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to answer this?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, if Measure O passes, how do you plan to deal with illegal underground rentals not paying TOT?
So that's going to be a real challenge. And the reality is that there's a lot of unanswered questions in Measure O. And if I'm fortunate enough to win re-election, and if I believe our community is unfortunate enough to have Measure O pass, it's going to be a mess to sort all of that out. So in terms of enforcing underground rentals, that's always been a challenge to some degree, but also there are tools and services that I know the city has deployed in the past to help with that.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone else? Yes, Mr. Aiken.
I think you had a question before that one regarding what would happen and what we would do if Measure O passed. And I have to say, the first thing I would do is start sending out the petition to get it overridden in 2 years. And some of the people, city council at city council meetings have said that if it passes, basically we probably would have short-term rental use only in, say, the winter for ski season, and probably would not have a summer season. So there are some dire consequences if that gets passed. I think the saving grace is it's not an immediate thing for most of what it's doing. Some things there are, but we should work on trying to override that. The main reason with it is it doesn't give the city council or the local people a chance to make any changes. And I think that's really a big problem.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I agree. I think it would be absolutely devastating to our summer tourism business. Measure O goes beyond just an issue of saturation. Saturation is handled solely by a cap. When you start limiting contracts, when our average contract is 2.2 days, it would be nice to say we can get people to come up and stay a week or two. It's just not the way the business works up here. We would be limiting rentals to about 64 to 70 days a year. That means we would lose our summer business. Houses would decide whether they wanted to rent in the summer or they wanted to rent in the winter. And yes, we have hotels and people will stay in hotels, but the truth is when people come up to Big Bear, they want to stay in a cabin and experience that mountain feel. I believe there are ways to balance out the saturation that are less detrimental to our community than Measure O.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to comment on that. One of the items that, with the committee that promoted Measure O, one of the pieces in it, of course, it was a committee. It was like 5 council members. One of the items that really stuck up was that the 30 contract limits was put in place in order to really get back to the original intent of what vacation ownership was about. And that vacation ownership was to supplement or offset some of the costs for members that wanted to be part of our community. The challenge is that there are many now that are only business endeavors in a residential area. And that has created this challenge for many. And so coming back to it, it's like, could we look back on saying Measure O or the committees that put it together was difficult? Yes. However, it moved forward because the residents actually signed the petition to get it on the ballot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Ms. Segovia.
So if Measure O passes, I feel like we're going to go back to how devastating it was here in the Valley back in 2008 when the economy got so bad. I was working at the ski resort and we were having a job fair and there were literally hundreds and hundreds of people waiting in line to apply for an $8 an hour job. And they were people, members of the community that I knew that had jobs that they had lost where they made more money than that. I never want to see Big Bear experience that again. And I just know that this would be devastating to the valley on every level.
Thank you very much. Mr. Putz.
So think about it rationally for a second. If you have a private home rental and you're limited to 30 nights a year, when are you going to rent your home out here? You're going to do it during the holidays, during Christmas time. You're not going to do it during the summer. You're not going to do it during the shoulder seasons. There's been a significant investment made over the years through Visit Big Bear and through increases in TOT tax to help even out our economy and the visitors here, to increase the tourism and the business in the shoulder seasons. As you know, Big Bear has been a tourist-based economy for 100 years. And my fear is that as Measure O is successful, that investment that we have in evening out our economy, and if you've ever had a business or worked in a business up here, you know those highs and lows, that we're going to undo the significant investment we've made.
Thank you, Mr. Putz. Does anyone else want to address? Yes, Mr. Herrick.
So the people will vote on Measure O. And however the people vote on it, yes or no, whether it passes or doesn't pass, if I'm in city council, I will enforce whatever rules are put in place with Measure O. With the measures of the people who were involved in the process of it, unfortunately, because I had a conflict of interest, I was not part of that discussion. I really wish that I had been. I believe that we needed maybe just my point of view to help lead us to some sort of compromise. Unfortunately, that didn't take place. So it's on the ballot and it will be voted on. And once it's in place, the law is the law, the rules are the rules, and I will be there to help enforce those rules.
Thank you so much. Okay, in the time that we have left, I'm going to give you one last question. See if you can answer it in one word, and we'll just go right down, starting with Ms. Segovia. If you are elected or re-elected, what one issue do you think you'd be most passionate about? Starting with Ms. Segovia.
Well, I love Big Bear. I love living in Big Bear. And one of my main goals with working on the recall is to get rid of this destructive person that is our council member. And I would love to work on healing the community, talking with people in the community, and just, being able to get back to the Big Bear that we all know and love.
Thank you. Mr. Herrick.
The biggest issue I think that we're dealing with right now, and this is statewide, it's all over the western United States, is our water issues. Very visible. If you look at our lake down 17, 18 feet right now, by the time we finish with what we have of our fall, could be down another foot. This is unprecedented. The number of years we've had our lake level down this far. I don't want to see Big Bear Lake become Big Bear Meadow. We are not, the reason why we're here is because of our lake. Our summer activities, we depend upon it now for making snow. We depend upon it for basically our wildlife as well. That is the big issue I think that we really need to concentrate on. And whether it happens in a year, 2 years, or 5 years, we just need to constantly keep our foot on the accelerator to try to get this. We're going to get grant money, and we're going to figure out how to pay for this and make it as equitable as possible for everybody who visits Big Bear and everybody who lives in Big Bear.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mahalik?
The biggest issue that people bring up to me when I tell them I'm running for council is everyone likes to talk about a cap on STRs and the lack of affordable housing. Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm excited to be involved in trying to lower the number of STRs without a cap. And there's a lot of different economic measures we could use in place. Not enough time to discuss right now, but I'm really excited to try to lower the number of short-term rentals and hopefully get more tot and T-bid taxes. And I think we could do it without a cap. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahalik. Mr. Putz?
A collective vision for the city. We've begun working on, and it's time now again for a new 20-year roadmap. And you could argue that our last 20-year roadmap, we actually were very successful at of creating a world-class tourist destination. Some might argue too successful. And as we move forward with figuring out where we want to head in the next 20 years, I think it's important that that vision reflects Big Bear Lake's values, our requirements, our needs, and our reality.
Thank you very much. Mr. Aiken.
Thank you. Well, the main thing is to have a cohesive city council, which I think I can do. And then I have talked before the city council about the Replenish Big Bear project, especially to go beyond the memorandum of understanding and actually get it in the capital improvement program. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Melnick.
Thank you. I think it goes to what I talked about in my opening comments, which is making Big Bear Lake the best place to live and raise a family. And that goes to affordable housing, local businesses and resources, so we don't have to go down the hill to get supplies, programs for our kids, infrastructure. And as it relates to District 4, the priorities are getting a crosswalk by the Lakeview Market, which I've already been in discussions with the city manager. There's a number of elderly and disabled people who are always crossing there, improving the traffic on the west end. We only have roads one way each way, and there's real concerns for safety and fire. And the other one is getting a dedicated bike lane to make it safer for people from the west end to get into the village and to the other areas of Big Bear Lake.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Mr. Sokolov.
Again, I'd like to thank the chamber for inviting us here this evening. I think you've heard from all of us, and I really have my heart here. I wouldn't be here if the suggestion from Mr. Putz hadn't put that in the ear and actually said, why don't you run for city council? So here I am because I do care about us as a community. And the first thing that after the election, whether I win or lose, I think we have to really look back of how do we unite back as a community. And also that community does include part of the rest of the valley, Big Bear City, Sugarloaf, Irwin Lake, Baldwin Lake, and Fawnskin. We have a lot of perceptions. We do need other economic engine growth. We do need affordable housing. We need to take the time to develop that and stop bickering over everything that has been for the last 2 years of short-term rentals.
Thank you so much. And that leads us to our 2-minute closing statements. Why don't we go ahead and stick with Mr. Sokolov? Please give us your 2-minute closing statement.
It's the challenge being up here. I know Perry and I have spoken at times in the past, and we talk about community service and how important it is for us. I've been here in the community. I've watched some of the discrepancies. This is the 4th time SDRs are at the issue. The residents are now coming up. They will have a voice on it that's out of my control. I do agree with Mr. Herrick with whichever way it goes, I will agree with it. It's a community effort moving forward. Yes on no, no on no. Vote by looking at and understand some of the challenges behind it. Economic engines in our valley need to be outside of just tourism. I do believe in one of the things that I've heard is vocational education up here. The school board was up here and they were talking about, I think it was Ms. Grau was talking about vocational work programs to help our trades that are up here. Building is a big part of it, roofing, contractors. Every one of those has a trade, electricians. My neighbor was an electrician, he grew up here. We need to look at that. We need to start developing that. Another one talked about having a microchip industry up here. Another one said San Bernardino Valley College. And I said, why don't we just go big and go with Cal State and do a 4-year university and have extensions up here that promote forestry? And I think that was brought up by one of the colleagues here. So there are opportunities in the future. We just have to be able to stop where we're at and move forward and really look at what will unify us the best and create economic stability. As we see from the tourism, we've had these highs and lows, and that we need a good balance. The sisters that I worked with said, temperament is key.
Thank you very much. Ms. Melnick.
Thank you. Thank you again to the chamber and to the other candidates who were here tonight and for their thoughtful and respectful discussion. It's really appreciated. And thanks to all of you. As I hope I've conveyed, I care deeply about this community and its citizens, and I've been honored to serve the residents of District 4 and the citizens of Big Bear Lake for the last year, and to work with the really strong and dedicated employees at the city. They are truly our backbone. I'm excited for the future of Big Bear Lake, and I look forward to exploring how all the ways that our city can be in a position to serve the needs of the community now and in the future, and in a fiscally responsible way. Having done this job for a little more than a year, I understand and appreciate the challenges, and it isn't easy, and the importance of serving on city council. I believe that my temperament, ethical standards, and ability to find common ground make me the right person for the job. I recognize and appreciate the trust that our community places in me as a city council member, and I don't take the responsibility lightly. I raised my hand to serve because I truly believe that I have the mix of skills and experience to represent the citizens of District 4. I really continue, I believe that, and that's why I'm here. I wouldn't be running if I didn't. If elected, I promise to keep listening and learning and working hard for the citizens. And I'd be honored to continue serving as on City Council as the representative for District 4. And I hope, regardless of who you vote for, you get out and vote on November 8th.
Thank you, Ms. Melnick. Mr. Aiken.
Yes, thank you. I mentioned in my opening talking about volunteering. It's one of the things that I really enjoy is doing a difficult job and seeing people who benefit from it, enjoy it, and not have it, and really understand what it's all about. I have, done my volunteering and local politics outside of Big Bear, but I wanted to bring a point about my commitment and passion for Big Bear with this recent fun run car show. Now you can say it's kind of superfluous, it's entertainment, but it really was a very complex project to put together for the city. It required a meeting with the city, meeting with the sheriff, meeting with other volunteer organizations. And it demonstrates not only my commitment to spend my own time, but I coordinated up to 100, we figured there were up to 100 volunteers it took to put on that show. As a result of the success, something unexpected, the MT Club presented me with a leadership award. And the leadership award is not because I did my work myself, it was because I have this ability to bring people together. And I think with the experience I've had over the years in various places, a city council, and then this particular commitment that I have, I've demonstrated that I really am the guy you want on your city council. I've already done that because for the past year or so, I attend city council meetings. And I offer constructive comments. So I'm already indirectly participating in that. So I would like you to vote for me for District 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aiken. Mr. Potts.
I look forward to the opportunity to continue to tackle thorny issues, which include affordable workforce housing and a balanced approach to private home rentals, or what I like to call sustainable tourism. But this is hard work. It's hard work under the best of times, and it's made even harder recently by an unprecedented pandemic and frankly polarizing politics and personal agendas. As part of the city council, I've already helped pass 2 emergency private home rental ordinances in the last 2 years, which have had a significant impact and help ensure that over 99% of our overnight guests are respectful of our local neighborhoods. Councilmember Melnick and I also worked hard this summer on an additional alternative short-term rental ordinance, further listening to community members and seeking to find compromise, but we're not done. I'll do my part to keep focus on these important issues, recognizing that we have to keep all the other important city responsibilities running and funded, but that we do so best when we work together respectfully. I don't have a personal agenda. I just simply want to be helpful. And I appreciate your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Putz. Mr. Mahalik.
Once again, I thank everyone for letting me attend today. It's been an honor to be here with these council members and candidates. I wanted to let you know on a personal note that I love game shows, and the favorite day of my life was when I was on Wheel of Fortune. You can see I'm smiling now. Guys, it was a lot of fun. I got another opportunity to be on America Says, a game show with my family, and we had a lot of fun doing it. I wanted to compare being a council member to being on, haven't got on the show yet, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? But it's an easy job because we just have to say yes or no, and we get unlimited lifelines. We get to ask the audience every time, and we get to phone as many friends as we'd like. So when we ask the audience and 80% of the people say yes, you know, it doesn't matter that I think it's no, because I'm here to represent you guys. And I've said a few times in the past, I'm hoping to get more and more people involved in politics. Either I call them professional 3-minute speakers, or trying to push more people into a planning commission role. We currently have the, I would like to add a Parks, Recreation, and Roadway Safety Commission, another one for Art and History. And then, as we mentioned, they're probably going to be creating a short-term rental commission. I would recommend that to be called Housing, to include long-term rentals as well. A couple of other key points. I wanted to bring more attention to the Big Bear Workforce Housing Initiative. This is a flyer that I've seen around town. It's promoting short-term rentals to go to a long-term rental. And there's available $1,000 to $5,000 per year grants when you convert your home to a full-time rental. So that's a very interesting program that I think we all need to learn more about. Another program that I propose to get less short-term rentals is pay tot or get off the pot. If you don't pay at least $1,000 in tot and T-bid, then you're going to lose your vacation rental license for 2 to 3 years. So that's going to promote more going to long-term rental. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahalik. Mr. Herrick.
First off, thank you again to the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. I think it's really important. Thank you for the audience, and thank you again for people who are watching online. But I have to say even more of a thank you, especially for our candidates who are here tonight. This is what it's all about, and elections are not easy. I've spoken to people who actually been through it many, many times, and even the most seasoned does not like this time of year, generally just because it's out of our basic comfort zone, and when you do it on a local level, it's even more out of our comfort zone. So the safer environment that we can make for all our candidates, everybody who's out there, I think we have a better chance of actually having more people involved. And I think that is what's really important as far as bringing our community together. We have an opportunity with DWP and Planning Commission, as was mentioned, that people come in the fold, get involved in the Chamber of Commerce if you can, get involved in as many organizations as you possibly can to try to help out and improve and move forward our community. I have to say a big thank you actually to our safety workers, including our firefighters, did a phenomenal job of saving our community, and that includes actually our police force as well. They did just a phenomenal job. Relationships is what it's all about. And I love it when people come speak in front of the city council, but I love it even more when somebody has an issue, they pick up the phone and give me a call. Call me sometime. And let's sit and not do 3 minutes, let's do 20 minutes, let's do 30 minutes, let's have some coffee together, let's understand each other better. I want to understand what issues you might have, and maybe be able to help you out in one fashion or another. It's been a very interesting road for me. The thing that I've learned more than anything else is relationships. Relationships with city council members, relationships with our staff members here, relationships with any other organization here in the Big Bear Valley, building those relationships, and also relationships throughout the state and the county are important. Thank you very much for that, and I would appreciate your vote come November.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Segovia, you were 2 minutes.
Well, I will tell you that I am definitely out of my wheelhouse here. This was not something that I ever pictured myself doing, but I have really enjoyed getting out and talking with people in the community and in District 1. And I feel that after 15 years at Big Bear Mountain Resorts and Guest Services, that my experience in problem solving for our customers, managing a staff of over 100, preparing budgets and business plans, match that with my can-do attitude, I feel like I'll be an asset on City Council. I love Big Bear, and I will work to preserve the integrity of our city. One of my goals is to represent District 1 with civility and respect and listening to the constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Segovia, and audience, thank you also, because I know you're dying to applaud, so give them a round of applause. And I also want to applaud you, the attendees, both here live and on Zoom, because the bare fact of your attendance shows me that you are all beacons of light in our community. You are here because you want to make a difference. I thank you for that. This concludes the 2022 Local Candidates Forum. November 8th is our election day. Have a wonderful evening. We are now adjourned.